It's another brilliant new day. Honestly, man is tired already. It's been a grueling week, and I'll be telling you a bit about an experience yesterday on the Tema motorway stretch. But from wherever you are joining us on the AM show this morning, good morning to you, and thank you for joining the conversation with moi, Benjamin Akakbo. And here's what you can expect on the show this morning. Right after the news, we slice and dice the newspapers in the news review, and we'll be doing that with Maxwell Lukoto, his NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tong. And then right after that, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will be serving us sports the way he does it every day. And then we get into the big stories. Now, two major issues we have on the chopping board today. One, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. It has blamed the high cost of taxation for the recent increment in the cost of dialysis. You know, it's moved from over 300 Ghana cedis to about 800 Ghana cedis. Well, the hospital increased the cost per session for persons with kidney conditions by over 100%. Now, speaking to Joy News, Mr. Salifu of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital indicated that government used to exempt the institution from paying some importation duties and related taxes. But as of last year, the hospital's facilities at the unit were no longer entitled to those benefits. We'll be delving into what that really means for those with kidney issues. And of course, we'll also have a doctor in the studio to tell us about what causes kidney ailments and how we can avoid them. But then on the second belt, what is where my concern is. In recent times, I've been using the Tema motorway a lot. In fact, yesterday I would have used it later at night if not for using the beach road instead. It's become a horrifying experience. Many commuters have complained about how their tires have got burst while on the stretch. Well, we're on the stretch this morning for up-to-the-minute reports on the state of the Tema motorway. A death trap or some, instrument to lead you to your destination? We'll be finding out. We also offer you the opportunity to have your say with us this morning, as we'd always do. Join us with your thoughts on these issues via the live stream, via social media, or at the tail end when we activate the phone lines. So, you know what? Just chill, relax, stay with me. I'll serve you this morning on the AM show. We'll be back with the news. Let's get into the news now. And in our first story, when lack of hospital beds resulted in a delayed surgery for Rachel and Peter's son, causing permanent disability, they channeled the situation into an avenue to help other parents and their children. Their son, who's unable to walk now, is also part of the move. Here's the touching story put together by Hannah Odame.
When I always go to church, I prayed that one day I will walk.
9-year-old Cornelius Kwabena Adom, who loves to sing and play the keyboard, was born with a deformity. Diagnosed with spina bifida from birth, his parents got a shock when they were told their son may not be able to walk if a repair surgery was not done on him in the first 14 days of his life.
They came for assessment and they were telling us the surgery too, sometimes after doing it, it's either sometimes you will lose the lower limbs and other things. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for both of us and the family, but we tried our best to trust and pray.
Spina bifida can happen anywhere along the spine if the neural tube does not close all the way. When this happens, the backbone that protects the spinal cord doesn't form and close as it should. Rahel Adom, mother of Cornelius and a nurse, read all about this illness and knew about the consequences, and so she quickly gathered the 3,000 cedis needed for the surgery before the ultimatum given by the doctors expired. But getting a bed at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for the surgery became the bane. After waiting for a month, he had a blood infection which had to be treated first. When that was done and the repair surgery was about to be conducted, it was too late, and Cornelius was left with no luxury of walking. All the doctors could do was close the bulge at his back and a shunt placed in his skull to prevent his head from becoming enlarged, as well as to prevent fluid from retaining in his head.
At the end of the day, he survived, and I think from so 7 months we have been going for reviews. And Cornelius was doing perfectly well because we were trusting God. So I think from day one after the surgery, we have been communicating to him. Before he will even be born, the father named him Cornelius. So I even speak with Cornelius, you are going to be great. Because Cornelius in the Bible was a great man. He was an army commander. So no matter whatever you are going through, you will survive.
After experiencing the dire circumstances under which parents situations face, Rahel and her husband founded the Challenged Children Foundation to aid children and parents alike.
We have the cerebral palsy, the autism, then disability to those who cannot walk like Cornelius, yes. But the autism and cerebral palsy are more.
So how are you taking care of all of them?
By the grace of God. We manage. My husband and the family have to cut down our expenses and come down to help them. Sometimes I buy rice in bulk, we buy things in bulk, then we share for them. Sometimes let's have a food bazaar or whatever. We cook, then they come around to eat, and we package some for them. And my husband was so understandable when I told him that why don't we set a foundation to help so that when we legalize it, people will come on board. Probably where our strength cannot reach, with one family and friends, we can come together.
Usually, it is thought the fathers aren't that supportive when such incidences happen. But Peter Jamina Adam, father of Cornelius, is different.
When he started sending him to VCO, it's only the women who bring the children. No man. But sometimes I'll go with them. So it is then I realized that it is the women who are suffering, who are taking care of a child. All the men, you don't see them around.
So now that you have seen it, what have you got to tell them?
Oh, I'm telling the men that they don't have to abandon the children. It is not their fault. So they have to at least love them, do whatever they can to support them. Mm-hmm.
Cornelius, who desires to visit the Great Wall of China, says though his back always aches, he's grateful to his friends and family who always make him happy.
I did not know why I could not walk, so I decided to encourage myself by playing the keyboard. And I also decided to encourage others that if I can make it, all of the disability people can make it. And I believe that they can make it and make it well.
Say hello.
Rahel has dedicated her life to helping children with disability enjoy the good things of life. And Mr. Adum wants everyone to know that disability is not a curse.
It's not easy taking care of such children. It takes both the two. You have to be behind the women, support them, and then make sure that they will have a better life.
We give you glory, Lord, as we honor you.
Hannah Odami for Joy News.
You are worthy, oh Lord. You are wonderful.
Now, the Emir and missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission at Ghana, Al-Hajj Maulana Noah Mohammed bin Salih, is worried about how frequent changes in government hamper effective implementation of educational policies. Speaking at the 6th congregation of the Nusrat Jahan College of Education, he said the rapid expansion, changing paradigm of teaching and learning, as well as limited resources, have led to declining quality of education in the country. Rafiq Salam was at the congregation and now reports.
The 6th congregation of the Nusrat Jahan Ahmadiyya College of Education was held on the theme Quality Inclusive Education, the role of the new Bachelor of Education teacher. Amir, a missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission in Ghana, Alhaji Maulana Noor Mohammed bin Salih, averred that education is undoubtedly the biggest instrument for not only academic progress but for social mobilization as well as political survival and the effective national development of the country. He therefore called on all stakeholders, including teachers, parents, and community members, to work closer to achieve that agenda. Maulana Noor Mohammed bin Salih, who also doubles as the chairman of the Governing Council of Nasojan Ahmadiyya College of Education noted that frequent changes in the educational structures and policies as and when there is a change in government do not allow the successful implementation of educational policies. Rather, Chicle deals a deadly blow to sustainable consolidated standards in education.
Frequent changes in educational structures and policies as and when there is a change in government do not allow the successful implementation of educational policies. Rather, it cheekily deals a deadly blow to sustainable consolidated standards in education. This sentence, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is deduced from the fact that rapid expansion, changing paradigms of teaching and learning, as well as limited resources, have often led to the declining quality of education in many countries, and we therefore must be wary of this.
The Nasojan Ahmadiyya College of Education was established in 1982. The college has a distinction of being one of 15 institutions designed in 2007 to offer specialized training in technical, science, and mathematics. It is also one of the few colleges in the country that admits visually impaired students, training them to be educators. Acting principal of the college, Abdul Mumin Abdulaziz, extolled the successes chalked by the college over the years, lacing it with challenges which included stalled infrastructural projects impeding conducive teaching and learning.
After the initiation of this project in 2008, which supposed to promise us, or would promise to be, the nerve center of academics, discourse, cultural events, and a pivotal college functions, was intended to complete in 2012. Unfortunately, we are in 15 years since its inception, and it is still undergoing construction. The classroom complex is a 3-tiered structure that will house 24 state-of-the-art classrooms and 45 offices, offering an immersive learning experience. It was initiated in 2013 and partially funded by the college through IGF. The project remained incomplete due to the delay of payment from debt fund.
Upper Sudan Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali expressed worry over the poor training of teachers, which has resulted in their inability to impact on the lives of the pupils in their classes.
It is sad to know that some teachers in our classrooms are poorly trained and therefore cannot positively impact the lives of their pupils, thereby affecting the quality of education in Ghana. This strongly raises the question of the quality of teachers, the quality of teacher training in our colleges. Let me use this occasion to appeal to our colleges of education to implement measures to ensure quality teacher education.
A total of 203 students graduated with Bachelor of Education degree. 2 persons among them had first-class honors. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Staying on education, the University of Cape Coast has for the 3rd consecutive time maintained the #1 spot as the best university in Ghana and West Africa. That's according to the 2024 Times Higher Education World University Rankings released on Wednesday. At a news conference at the university, Vice Chancellor of that institution, Professor Johnson Nyako Bwampong, said the university would work to sustain the gains made so far. Richard Kwejunyako has more in this report.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to announce that this year too, the University of Cape Coast has retained its position as the top most ranked university in Ghana and West Africa, and among the top 10 universities in Africa, particularly taking the position of 7 among the African universities.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Johnson Yakubu announcing the 2024 Times Higher Education World University Rankings at a news conference at the university shortly after the rankings were released on Wednesday.
UCC has also maintained its position as one of the leading research-intensive universities globally. UCC has still emerged as a strong institution of higher learning in this year's ranking. The Times Higher Education World University Ranking is used by many key higher education stakeholders for decision-making and other things. The Times Higher Education World University Ranking data are used by governments, universities, and are a vital resource to aid students in choosing their preferred tertiary institution to study. The rankings are also widely used by faculty to inform career decisions, by university leaders to help set strategic priorities, and by government to help monitor policy formulation and implementation. Some funders also use the ranking for institutional funding decisions, while other regional and global tertiary education bodies use it to form key institutional collaboration networks.
In the 2022 and 2023 rankings, the university earned the bragging right as the best university in Ghana, the best in West Africa, the 4th best university in Africa, and the best university globally for research influence. In the 2024 ranking, the university has still been ranked as the best university in Ghana and West Africa and slipped marginally from the 4th position in Africa to the 7th position due to the new methodology used. This places the university at a huge pedestal, an achievement that no university in Ghana has struck before. The boss of the university's Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy, Professor David Teidoku, has been explaining the new methodology used in this year's rankings and how they are ranked straight ahead of their peers in Ghana.
Look at the rankings in Africa, realize that there has been a lot of changes in the positions because of the introduction of the new methodology. So we think that this is an improvement overall, even though last year, the methodology they used were 4th. This year, we are 7. We can say that in essence, if you normalize, as the statisticians say, the methodology, we have improved. Our university is the only university outside South Africa that is in the top, is it 17 universities, or is this top 17 universities in Africa, and so our closest competitor in Ghana ranked 32, number 32, and we want to work on the areas that we need to double our efforts so that we can continue to be the best university in Ghana, West Africa, and probably in Africa. In fact, if the methodology had not changed, we're anticipating that we're going to be about the 1st or 2nd in Africa.
The university hopes to sustain the gains made and improve upon its position globally every year. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejonya-Akon.
Now, the New Patriotic Party in the Tema West constituency says it will resist any attempt by the opposition National Democratic Congress to register non-constituents in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. The warning comes after the party accused NDC of busing about 700 registrants to the centre at Community 2 last Sunday. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more in this report.
There is simmering tension between the New Patriotic Party (NPP) and the National Democratic Congress (NDC) in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise in the Tema West constituency, as the former accuses the latter of busing close to 700 non-constituents to register. NPP fears such moves could sway presidential unparliamentary result in favor of NDC in the 2024 general election. Tema West NPP chair Kwesi Poku Bosompem says the NDC is desperate to win the seat in the area, but this can only remain a dream.
My argument is that people of Tema West should be able to decide who becomes their MP. You understand? You don't let people from outside decide for us. The original chairman was on air saying that Tema West, Ayawasu West. They've sat, he knows it in a meeting that Ashaman has over 40,000 votes more than the MPP. So they want to pass them here. Not under my watch. That one I won't agree. You see, the procedure is something else. They will tell you to challenge. They always lie on you to prove the person doesn't stay here. So for me, if they do that, I won't agree. The process to go. That one mean penny, mean TA. I won't agree. Today that they are bringing Tema people, nobody. For now, there's peace and calm. The only problem is that they send a signal to the NDC that Tema West is not one of their places. They should do these things in K2 South, K2 North, not here.
In a quick response, Tema West chairman for NDC, Malam Issa Mohammed, denied this claim as he was out of town on the day. He, however, says the party had been providing transport to residents who may be far from the registration center.
I have a call that because they have seen a large number in the shade. So they came and said that, no, these people are not Ghanaians. They are not from Tema West. I don't know. They say they're from Kubekurum. We never passed anybody from different angle to bring it here. Because we know we have the numbers in our constituency. So we are dealing with our constituency to bring our people here to come and do registration. You see, it's a strategy that they are doing. Because they are trying, if not, how can the so-called national security can come and block the EC people not to do their work? Can you imagine? Unless the police to intervene before they will allow the people to do their work. It's unfortunate. By me, it's God, only God that make me that day. I am not in town. The MPP chairman could have known that, or he could have seen that he has meter.
Municipal Electoral Officer for Tema West, John Nunu, says the process has been without any major challenge. He asked Nyamiye Swapping Foundation to encourage registrants to check their details during the exhibition phase.
I was called and I rushed to the office. When I came, in fact, there were a lot of people under the shed who were ready for registration. But I understand the MPP guys were saying that the people that came were not residents of Tema West, and therefore they are not going to allow them to register. In fact, it became a banter between MPP and NDC. But through the assistance of the police, we were able to calm them down, and we explained to them that per the registration rules, you cannot prevent anyone from registering.
Meanwhile, founder and president for Nyamiye Swapping Foundation, Robert Richard Swapping, has called for calm to ensure the registration exercise ends peacefully.
So the foundation actually was set up in Tema West with a focus on health, education, music, and other social interventions. So basically, to answer your question, yes, we are here to call for peace and calm. But as we all know, you do not go to the chief palace empty-handed. So coming here, we've taken it upon ourselves to ensure that at least everybody here is going to be having a hot meal, of course, with a dessert, ice cream as a dessert, right? Then after, water and the others that will make a complete meal.
Robert Richard Swapping urged residents in the queue to ensure they are registered to enable them exercise their constitutional rights. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
In our next story, the president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Alhaj Daoud Suleimana Mahama, is asking the Valuation and Estate Surveying Division to collaborate with environmental scientists policymakers, and other stakeholders to develop sustainable strategies to protect the environment while promoting economic growth. He says Ghana's economic growth is causing environmental degradation and the loss of biodiversity. Alhaj Dawood Suleimana Mahama made this call at the 2023 annual conference of the VES.
Theme of the conference, Sustaining National Asset, the Environment and VES Profession in Perspective, is aimed at building the capacity of surveyors on the ongoing Green Building Training Program. Alhaji Dawood Suleimana Mahama said VES must adopt a holistic approach that considers not only the market value asset, but also a long-term sustainability of the environment.
In this context, the role of evaluation and ethics surveyor becomes even more important. We must adopt a holistic approach that considers not only the market value of assets, but also the long-term sustainability of the environment in which these assets are placed. Our decisions should reflect a deep understanding of the ecological impact as we strive to strike a balance between the economic growth and environmental preservation. To achieve this, it is essential we actively incorporate environmental considerations into our evaluation process.
Chairman of the Quantity Surveying Division, Surveyor Ajimambedu, assured the VES of its support to guide them through any implementation challenges they might encounter.
As we delve into the theme, sustaining national assets in your professional practice, let us take a moment to reflect on the following critical questions. How has our professional services over the years affected the environment in terms of positive impact and sustainability? As our mission and estate surveying professionals tasked with managing land and related assets, how are we perceived by clients and the ordinary citizens of Ghana? As professionals, how focused and aligning our services towards the attainment of the goals, the global sustainable development goals? In answering these questions, it is imperative that we strike a balance between the socio-economic demands placed on us as professionals and our unwavering commitment to upholding ethical values that underpin the sustainability of our national assets.
The Northern Regional Minister Sani Alhassan Shaibu said to develop a country, Ghanaians must be conscious of preserving their national assets.
The theme for this year's conference, Sustaining National Assets, the Environment and Evaluation of Estate Surveying Profession in Perspective, would it be more appropriate given our current dispensation where we are gradually losing our national assets due to our poor maintenance culture? It is time that we, as a country, come to the realization that in our way to develop, we must be cautious and intentional about preserving national assets.
And that's the note on which we cap off the news this morning. Thank you for staying, but do stay for a lot more because up next, we serve you the news review. Up next. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to get into the news review. We host the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tone. He says I should always focus on the South. Maxwell Lukuto, he's our guest. Before I bring him into the fray, this segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And the proposition is the same. They're offering you, if you're a man, free prostate screening. If you're a woman, free fertility screening. Just locate them at any of their branches. There's here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State. There's also Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siamanzima. The call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. End Point Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But I have this question for you. What have brought it to you in the news this morning? I just want to run it by you. It's something that we've discussed before, taxes. But I ask, would you pay more taxes if there were some guarantee of better living? So recently, of course, we heard of what some people call celebrity tax. If you're a master of ceremonies or an influencer on social media, then government wants to tax you a bit, the same way they're doing with bettors, 10% for bettors. I don't know what percentage that would attract. For some of us, major upscale gigs would attract the withholding tax of 7.5%. But now they want to spread it across, so everything you do, you'll be taxed on it. What is your take on that? Let me know via the live stream. Join News on Facebook. But let me say a very good morning now to Maxwell. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I am well. More taxes for better living. What do you think?
Yeah, good morning. First of all, let me commend you for remembering the SAP song very, very well. And to ask what your lunch is going to be, Zikobe or Wachi or Kinke.
Anyway, we'll discuss that one later. What do you think?
I want your lunch for me, that's why I'm asking. I want your lunch to be on me. Yes.
Okay, let's do some Wachi.
That's okay. So, like you said earlier, it's always been a cliche that you can't tax people to prosperity. And so, you can't continue taxing people every day. There are a lot of us who are taxed in different angles. And so, there should be some angles that you have some respite. Right. This entertainment industry, other things. There are a lot of taxes that we exact from these individuals. So why do we think that we should continue taxing them to the last bone of every fish they eat? No, I don't think. And no tax person will tell you that you can tax people into prosperity. Of course, a lot of the people should be brought into the tax net, but it doesn't mean that every little thing anybody does would have to be taxed. If you are not sure, very soon, even for briefing, you will be taxed for briefing. And it's not the best situation we find ourselves. Even though people would want to ask, what do you use the taxes that you are already taking to do? They would want you to justify it before they think about paying more. Of course, it is our responsibility as citizens to also inquire from government what we use our money to do. If we see extravagance, if you see flamboyance in their style of living, if one minister can have all that money in her bedroom, and if you see things happening like it used to happen in the past, where the president will be flying anywhere, anyhow, in very expensive and luxurious airplanes, paying so much just for a trip, which can be done better because his other colleagues from other countries are doing same, then it puts you to think, why should we continue to pay more taxes to the government for them to go and
But you also realize that without taxes, completely without them, the country will run aground, right?
Yeah, my brother. So I said earlier, admitted that taxes are necessary for our growth. And then I also continue to say that we can't tax people into prosperity. Then I am also saying that people would want to ask you what you are already taxing them is being used for. They would want to justify some of those things. So if you take it and you are not using it for any, in quote, reasonable thing and you want to take more, will people be encouraged to pay more? No, I'm not sure they will do. So you should be able to convince them that what I have is being used to construct your roads, is being used to provide water, is being used to provide electricity at a very subsidized cost where you can pay, and all those other things for you to be encouraged to say, oh, if I do this, my road in my corner will be fixed because I saw my colleagues one being fixed, mine will also be fixed. I don't have to spend extra money myself going to buy gravels to come and fill my potholes when it rains. The whole road become very messy, and every day on the motorway I have to be buying shock absorbers. That money that should be used in buying shock absorbers will be used to pay tax if the motorway is fixed. So for me, it's a chicken and egg issue. government should be seen to be doing the things that citizens expect them to do before we can also push further to want to pay the more taxes for them to use to do the things that I don't think in the Western world people complain so much when these taxes are imposed on them. Sometimes those of us in Ghana, when we complain, our colleagues in outside will tell you, this is normal. In Europe, we do this, we pay this, that, we pay this, that. But the issue is that the things they need, they have been fixed for them.
The
but
deliverables,
we have to do everything virtually by ourselves.
Well, thank you for those.
So that is the reason why you see us grumbling when we have to pay more of these taxes, because we don't see what they end up using it to do.
Thank you for those thoughts, and I agree with you to a large extent. It's not about how much you're paying, it's about the quality of life that your taxes would give you in return. After all, that's why we elect governments, to provide certain things for us. Most people wouldn't have, you wouldn't have an airport, a private airport or something of the sort. These are things, roads. Usually it is the state that does these things. Now we're talking about dialysis at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which has moved from over 300 cedis to about 800 cedis, all because taxes or waivers have been withdrawn, and now they are facing the full thrust of taxation. And we're taxing ourselves into everything. Now it's impacting the health sector, it's impacting every sector, and just making life pretty burdensome. But we soldier on. We don't throw in the towel. We'll keep soldiering on. It reminds me of that lady who claims recently that she's been victimized. She's been victimized at work. The one who was at the demonstration put together by Democracy Hub.
The House demonstration.
Exactly. And what she said, it broke my heart. And now there are claims that she's been victimized at work, at least not substantiated, so I'll not go into it. But that's what she's put out on social media. Anyway, we'll see how things go. Let's get into the daily graphic, but don't forget, those of you watching us, to share your own thoughts with us via the social media stream. The daily graphic: 400 school children stranded, rainstorm rips off school roof. And you can find this. I mean, I'm not trying to be insensitive to them, but you would even find places where there are worse structures. In fact, no structures under trees and the rest. So at least they have a little bit of a structure and the roof has been ripped off. We pray that the right thing will be done. And as for the places that don't even have a structure, God have mercy. Scrap Article 71. It's unfair. TUC charges. And Ghana on course for EU timber trade license. That's according to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. And CJ advocates financial independence of judiciary. All right. So let's get into the stories now. This first one. The Trades Union Congress has joined the call for the special salary and emoluments dispensation given to office holders under Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution to be scrapped, saying the provision is discriminatory. The Secretary General of the TUC, Dr. Anthony Yauban, said Article 71 had created a superclass of people at the expense of others, fueling discrimination and injustice against other classes of public sector workers. Speaking at the Institute of Economic Affairs Constitutional Review Seminar last Tuesday, Dr. Barr said, quote, Article 71 smacks of discrimination between the political elite and the people. Why should some public servants be placed under Article 71 and others treated differently? We must either amend or change the Constitution and scrap Article 71. The TUC boss said Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution was also at variance with other provisions of the same Constitution, such as Article 24, which stipulates, quote, equal pay for equal work without distinction of any kind. That's the story there. Let me quickly jump to page 13, do those two stories there, and have you give your quick reactions, your summary reactions to them. So the first one, the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Saki-Tokonu, has bemoaned the lack of financial independence of the judiciary, saying it was negatively affecting the work of the judiciary and ultimately justice delivery. Justice Tokonu, who was speaking at the 2023 annual general meeting of the Association of Magistrates and Judges Ghana yesterday, said although the 1992 Constitution protected the independence of the judiciary, the service had no control over its financial administration. Quoting Article 1271 of the 1992 Constitution, the Chief Justice said the Constitution had categorically insulated all activities of the judiciary, including its financial administration, from external control to protect its independence due to the sensitivity of its functions. And she says, quote, "How can we be an independent arm of government if we do not have control over our finances? Is the constitutionally guaranteed institutional independence of the judiciary only a mirage?" So financially, they are not independent, and that is problematic. Finally, 400 school children stranded. Rainstorm rips off school roof. And the fate of over 400 pupils of the Manle, Dada Basic and African Unity Schools in the La Dade Kotopon municipality hangs in the balance after a rainstorm destroyed their classrooms. A 9-unit classroom block and adjoining offices at the African Unity School were destroyed in May this year, but they have not seen any renovation yet. May, we're in September. So the school and its roof, and you can see rainwater even collecting in the classrooms, the CJ and financial independence of the judiciary, and Article 71. Your take, Maxwell.
Yeah, my brother, about the ripping off of the roof of the little children, their classroom. It's unfortunate that this is our engineering arguments. I don't know whether we have sold them, and our conscience doesn't prick us when we do some of these things. But it more tends to be what the supervisors would want to exact from these contractors who are doing this particular work.
Have you seen the recent building that collapsed somewhere in Ofanko, I think?
Yes. It's also lack of supervision. The quest to make money at every instance has taken over our sense of judgment and responsibility. A lot of our people are thinking every day more of how they can make so much into their own pocket to the detriment of the quality of work they have to deliver. Unfortunately, we have a system of checking some of these things, but the supervisors are worse off. They would want to take the 20%, the 10%, the 15% from the contractor. And so instead of using a particular thickness of the roofing sheet to roof, he may want to go down a little more. Maybe you are supposed to use 4 mm to go do the roofing, but you go and take a 3.5 mm use. Maybe the quality of wood that he has to use, no, the lot.
Well, it appears we're losing the connection to Maxwell Lukuto. We'll try to work it out and get him back on the show. Maxwell, we lost you briefly. I got a lot of what you said about the 4 mm to 3.5 mm and all of that. But briefly, your quick thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, I'm saying that if the supervisors do a good job and then they supervise every aspect of the project, I'm not sure some of these things will be happening. How many times have we seen very old buildings being ripped off or being affected by disaster in this nature? It is rather the new ones that are being constructed that are getting affected every day. So I think that if the supervisors do their job very properly,
right,
would avert some of these things. And people should be held responsible if these things happen. A contractor is known, so he should be hauled, he should be made to go back as quickly as possible to go and repair these things. Now, about the Article 71 workers, it's unfortunate that they are the masters of the game. They are the ones who set the rules. And so TUC may want to complain, they will listen, but whether they're going to change is another matter. And so it's unfortunate. Of course, no two workers can be the same. Yes, equal pay for equal work. But it was until recently that we have this a single spine salary structure be designed and implemented for a class of people. Unfortunately, in the past, you see every aspect, like the police, the teachers, the nurses, having their structure differently. So gradually we are getting there. I just pray and hope that they will listen and also synchronize this thing. But I don't know how soon that will really happen. And so it's unfortunate. The third issue, it's about the
The Chief Justice and the financial strength.
Yeah, the Chief Justice. Unfortunately, our fear is that once they are giving this independence to manage their finances, even now the filing fees and the court fees that we pay are already high. We wouldn't be too sure how things are going to go. And so we are just scared that if they are giving that kind of independence, things will also go off the roof. But of course, I'm sure being an arm of government, they're going to discuss that with the executive and also through the parliament so that we see how these things can be done. But I don't know how many institutions, I'm not sure parliament has its own way of managing its finances. They also depend on the executive to manage their finances. And so I wouldn't be too sure how easy government or the executive arm is going to take this and to get it off for them. I am not too sure. It's always been like, check me, let me check you. And so I am not sure government or the executive arm is going to budge and to give them the financial independence that they may be seeking at this moment. I'm not too sure.
Right. Let's get into some other stories very quickly. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, measures to ensure public health safety. FDA to clamp down on media over promotion of unapproved medicines. And unapproved medicines, if they are not approved, you don't go ahead and advertise them. That's the bottom line. But some media houses, unfortunately, dabbling in that. Here we have standards, of course, and we check for FDA approval. And then there's 38th National Farmers' Day to be held in the Western region, and Ghana to save $2 billion in 2023 from external debt service suspension. That's according to the governor. When all this talk comes through, sometimes I just ask myself, how does this affect the person on the street? You know, even Kofi Brokman is no longer for, you can't be broke and get Kofi Brokman, you know. So all this talk we like, and to save this and to do that, how is it affecting the ordinary man? Zilch. Police chase man for allegedly poisoning girlfriend to death. So let's just do those stories very quickly. We'll go to page 11 and then, let me see, we'll do page 3 first. The police are on a manhunt for a 22-year-old Okada rider who allegedly poisoned to death his girlfriend at Kransang in the Suhum municipality of the Eastern region. The Okada rider, whose name has only been given as Akoko, was the boyfriend of a 17-year-old Matilda Dankwa, who recently completed or graduated from junior high school. I don't know why we always use completed. What have they completed? Confirming the incident to journalists, the assembly member for the area, Ransford Novo, said Dankwa became pregnant for the Okada rider and she refused to terminate the pregnancy when the suspect requested her to do so. The assembly member said the suspect carried the girlfriend on his motorcycle, and a few minutes later, she was found dead with foam oozing out of her mouth. And the police say they suspected foul play and appealed to the public to divulge any information that may lead to the arrest of the suspect. What a very dastardly act and a sad way to go. But let's get to that story on page 11. The Food and Drugs Authority has said it will sanction media houses that promote unapproved medicines as part of measures to ensure public health and safety. Pursuant to Section 129 of Act 85, quote, persons who contravenes were liable to summary convictions or a fine not less than 7,500 penalty units and not more than 15 years and not more than 25 years imprisonment or both. Pictured there, Dr. Delese Mimidako, CEO of the FDA, would want them to be more active when it comes to such issues, and it is good that they are highlighting some of them. Let's quickly get into the Daily Guide, and I'll let you respond because these are pretty straightforward matters. The Daily Guide says, stay focused, we'll win. That's according to Baumia. And of course, another story captured there, Kojo Poku endorses Veep. I saw that yesterday. Then Ken launches donation platform. That story on page 6. I don't know about Kojo Poku, some of what he used to say, and supporting maybe the front runner for the MPP's flag bearership. But, well, I guess in politics it's what they say. Sales shift depending on what happens at what time. And this interesting story, Mahama girl trolled over car, quotation marks, bride comment. That story is on page 6, and this is what it says. Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, an aide to former President John Dramani Mahama, was caught in the crossfire yesterday with tweets of media personality Nana Aba Anamwa over a picture of one of the saloon cars, not salon. Salon is where you go to fix your hair. Saloon is the car. Saloon cars supplied by the NDC in 2012 to Leo University of Ghana students. On September 25, 2023, Nana Aba Anamwa posted the picture with a caption, quote, in 2012, by this time, the NDC was distributing this car on the Legon campus. Ironically, none of the male students got one, end of quote. Well, this upset the ex-president's aide, who reprimanded the TV personality and questioned her motives. Joyce wrote, quote, what's the intent? Shame NDC ladies under a guy's tweet because some are being criticized for their silence in the face of today's hardship and poor leadership. This shouldn't be coming from you, my sister. An avoidable tweet. Anyway, those are the stories, and the NDC also coming into the fray. Any thoughts?
Yeah, about the Food and Drugs Authority and on the media houses. Yes, it's true that most media houses are struggling, and even how to pay their workers is always an issue. How much is being paid should not even be discussed at all. And so sometimes they go to the extremes to want to do some adverts that they have not verified the authenticity or otherwise even licenses from the Food and Drugs Authority.
Right.
And they go ahead to do a bigger example is we also recently about this Makofa mixture where somebody just poured malt, Coca-Cola and Fanta into a container, labeled it Makofa, and gave out to some media houses, and then they went haywire advertising, and some to the extent that they themselves have experienced it, that it is good for performance in bed and these other things. Unfortunately, most of these smaller media houses are corporates in issues of this nature. To stay alive and afloat, they go to the extent of doing anything and everything to make money out of these peddlers to be able to sort out themselves. And so I think that is a good thing if the Food and Drugs Authority will zoom into the media houses and make sure that those who do these things against the regulations of the nations are brought to book. Unfortunately, these very people, when they're doing it, they even cite the Food and Drugs Authority as have approved these things that they're advertising. So you ask yourself, where have they cited the approval certificate or whatever before they go ahead?
Or are some entities faking the certificate? That could be another problem.
Yes, exactly. There are some entities that also fake the certificates and give to them, and they don't do their double checking from the FDA before they go ahead and do all these things. And for me, the intriguing aspect is that the media personalities themselves sometimes put themselves in their shoe. They will say that I have tried it, I have tested it, and I have found the potency and all that. Meanwhile, they have not even taken a sip of it. It's so unfortunate. So some of these things should be checked, and it's good. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Maxwell, for your thoughts on that. We've basically come to the end of the news review. There's the story in the Business Finder. Fruit vegetable farmers must enhance intra-Africa trade and quick loan services for Access Bank customers. I believe that will bring us to the conclusion of the news review. If you can hear me, Maxwell, do you have any final thoughts right before we wrap?
Yeah, of course, it's still about this registration exercise, and I want to wish that people go out and ensure that the 18-year-olds and above get registered for the limited registration exercise that is still ongoing. I'm sure it will end by Monday, and so people should be encouraged to do that. And about this dialysis thing at Kolebu, it breaks my heart to hear some of these things. And for people to know that you have to do dialysis 3 times in a week, and at each shot you are paying about 736 Ghana cedis or so. It's so killing, and so the health ministry and government should do something about this thing. If not, more people are going to die out of this thing. It's heartbreaking to hear some of these things, and it's unfortunate. The lady you spoke about earlier in the video spoke about how a teacher's ward died because the dialysis machine broke down at
right.
And now out of nowhere it's been increased, and it's going to tell more on a lot of our people. It's unfortunate.
Right.
The government should it and help us sort out some of these things.
Right, and of course, we know part of that is on the back of taxation. Well, thank you, Maxwell Lukuto, for joining the conversation. He, of course, is the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tong. He joined the conversation. Have a good day, Maxwell. So right before we go, of course, shouts to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They enable us to bring you this segment every day. And here's what they're offering you. If you're a man, prostate screening for free. Have you ever checked your prostate? When was the last time you did? If you do. If you're a woman, do you know your fertility status? Well, you can get screened at Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for free. You can locate them at Accra Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronomabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siaman Zuma. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And for the first time in a long while, Chelsea winning a match by a goal to nothing. That's something to celebrate, right? The Blues. Sports is up next.
Good morning, you're still watching the AM show and it's time for sports. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, former Black Stars coach James Kwesi Appiah is set to become the new coach of Sudan national team after receiving permission from His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, which is to combine the job with his role at Asante Kotoko as technical director. The coach was believed to have already accepted a return to Sudan, this time as the national team coach, having initially coached club side Al Khartoum. Now, on phone for more on this subject is my colleague Fifi Manfred of Inshira Sports. Fifi, please, we know that Otumfuo has given James Kwesi Appiah the green light to get a job in Sudan. What more can you tell us? It seems we are having some challenges with Fifi there. Okay, anyway, let's move on to our next story, but let's still stay with Asante Kotoko because on the pitch, they've had a slow start to the season with 1 draw and a loss, picking 1 point out of 6. Now, head coach Prosper Nate Ogum, who won the league title for the club 2 seasons ago, says he needs time to build a formidable team for Kotoko. The Porcupines face Karela United on Sunday.
We are building a new team. We are building a team that can compete at any level. And building a team that can compete at any level, you need some patience, you need some time to be able to do that. I know the club I'm coaching is all about result. But the result will come if we do the right things from the beginning. And to me, as a technical staff and the parties and the IMC, we are doing the right thing by trying to make sure that we build a formidable team. So they have to be patient. They should look at the positives in the game. I mean, apart from the results at the end of the match, they should sit down and look at the positives. Did we play well? Let's say from the back, were we able to consolidate the possession in the middle of the park? And then when we were able to consolidate the possession in the middle of the park and we got to the final third of the opponent, were we able to create the chances? And if we created the chances, were we able to hit some shots on targets? How many of them were obviously supposed to be a goal ball? How many of them were quarter chances? These are the things. And I'm sure if they sit down in the comfort of their workplaces and their homes, wherever they are, and they look at it from this point of view, they can easily tell whether the team is a hopeful team or it's not a hopeful team.
Prosper Nate Ogum, the head coach of Asante Kotoko, but his superior, the technical director of the club, is Kwesi Appiah, who has accepted the role to become the head coach of the Sudan national team. That was our earlier subject. Now, on phone now is Fifi Manfred. I don't know if it's on. Fifi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Fifi, so James Kwesi Appiah has accepted the job. He's met Otumfuo Osei. So what more can you tell us?
So thank you very much. Good morning to viewers. So James Kwesi Appiah had been speaking to the Sudanese NSA for a while now. In fact, before the war had broken in Sudan, he was already in communication with them. Just before there was an uprising in Sudan, and then football had to be on hold. The discussion to become the Sudanese national team manager had to be put on hold at the time. Around that same time, James Kwesi Appiah was speaking to some clubs in the Ghana football terrain. He spoke to clubs like Samasek and the like. But just when Otumfuo and Osei had called him to become the technical director for protocol, he decided to put every other thing on hold. And of course, the Sudanese was also on hold because football wasn't really the way forward with respect to their football. And so he took over the job as sporting director for protocol and to spearhead a lot of things, including the IS, and also to try and get onto PFA management committees and a few other things. But immediately, the issue of the Sudanese football was settled, and then he was recalled. He had to go back to Otumfuo and ask for his permission because he had already told him that discussion was on hold. So he met Otumfuo in London about 2 weeks ago, had discussions with him, tried to keep his permission. Otumfuo, of course, has given him his blessing that he can leave and join the Sudanese national team in Egypt and start preparations with them. So Otumfuo has given him his blessing. He has asked him that if he wants to go away, he can't. He also asked him that he should exercise some oversight responsibility on his protocol for him. As protocol new IMC is trying to put things together and build a club for the future. So essentially Otumfuo has given his blessing, and he is going to leave protocol to direct the Sudanese national team in Egypt.
Before I let you go, Fifi, we know on a personal level, Kwesi Appiah is contesting for the GFA Executive Council seat. Will this move affect his chances?
No. So as it stands now, he's still going to try and contest. Yes, I think a lot of the people are going to vote. It's like among the then we want the executive council to be focused on for a coach of the Sudanese national team who will not be based in Ghana but will be based in Egypt. I don't think that person will have enough to contribute to Ghana football. Yes, I think that for a lot of the voters, they would not want to vote for Kwesi Appiah for this season. I think that by reason will also be justified to decide not to vote for Kwesi Appiah as an executive team member for the Ghana football.
Thank you very much, Fifi. Fifi has given us the details on James Kwesi Appiah's move to Sudan and, of course, his relationship with Asante Kotoko.
Welcome on the first belt of our big stories, and we kickstart the conversation with health. Now, in recent times, we've been told about dialysis treatment, if you like, which is going to move from a little over 300 cedis to close to 800 cedis, around 736 Ghana cedis, over 100% increment. But what does that really mean? We've heard from the PRO of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, but today on the show, we want to look at different dynamics of that issue. One, what are the diseases that affect the kidney? What are the repercussions? How can we protect our kidneys so that we don't even get there? But for those who have got there, what does this mean in terms of cost? We'll be dilating on all of these together with our guests. We have Thomas Can. He's been on dialysis for some 10 years. He'll be sharing his lived, real-life experiences with us. But for starters, we go to Dr. Elliot Karanting Tano. He's a senior lecturer at the KNUST, a senior specialist and consulting nephrologist at the Komfo Teaching Hospital. A very good morning to you, Doc. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning to you too. I hope you're good.
I am very well. Well, let's get some education on our kidneys. most of us, I mean, unless we've had some surgical procedures, would have 2 of them. What are the functions of the kidneys to start off?
All right, so thank you very much, and good morning also to your viewers and listeners. Yeah. So yes, the kidney plays major roles, of course, in the body, and I keep saying that it is that organ that we don't tend to discuss a lot more about until Kolebu decides to post, something for their patients. And again, it gives me some excitement to take advantage to educate people about kidney disease. So indeed, do you know, that before your body decides to make more blood to increase the level of your blood levels, it has to do with the kidney. The kidney actually sends the signal that, listen, maybe you are bleeding or maybe your blood levels have gone low, so let's increase it. And that is why when people get kidney disease, one of the big challenges is that their blood levels are low. And indeed, it happens to be one of the symptoms they tend to present with more often than not, because they're easily getting tired and they are dizzy and stuff like that. The other thing the kidney does is that, of course, it helps you to control your blood pressure. So if your blood pressure will stay normal, the kidney has a major role to play. So one of the things they will present with is high blood pressure, which normally will present with maybe headaches and some palpitation. They feel their heart beating and they really feel uncomfortable. The common thing that we all know is that the kidney, of course, is that which helps you to make urine. Of course, without your kidneys, you will not be peeing. And I think if you are able to wake up, I keep saying, and pee comfortably, you should thank God, because people like Thomas Kahn and other patients I have would have to pay that amount that you are seeing to be able to pee, in quotes, because it's the machine that helps them to pee. So it's your kidney that helps you actually to pee. So thank God if you can pee, and that is why we are having this conversation, that people will take very good care of their kidneys, or else you have to pay hefty amounts to be able to pee. The next thing your kidney does is that as you eat foods, you drink water and all of these things that sometimes you don't know what the contents are, the kidney is the one that tends to stabilize it. So if something is too high, the kidney says, okay, this is too high, let's pee it out. If it is too low, it holds on to it. So it happens to be the magic regulator of your body. And for your teeth and bones to become strong, the kidneys have a major role. So you hear calcium and you need the sun for vitamin D. Mind you, if you can sit in the sun for all I care for how many years, but if your kidneys are not working, that vitamin D will not be useful to be able to get the calcium and phosphate in terms of the strong bones that you need for your teeth and your bones.
So in other words,
these are
absorption,
major functions of the kidney. Yeah.
Absorption of these nutrients into the body are key functions of the kidney as well.
I won't say the absorption. It is the other system that takes care of the absorption. But after you absorb it into your system, it's the kidney that ensures that they are within the right balance. The body is all about balance. So if it is too high, it's a problem. If it is too low, it's a problem. Something keeps it balanced. As you said now, you can drink 2 gallons of water. You are most likely going to pee 2 gallons of water, so you stay balanced. But if my patient drinks even 1 bottle of water and they are not peeing, that bottle of water will stay in their body and it gets into their lungs and they cannot breathe. So the kidney regulates a lot of these things in your body.
That explains it then, because when I wake up every morning, I have a routine where I take in quite a bit of water, 500 or 750 milliliters. And of course, in the course of the show, I'll be doing those runs because it must come out. So we thank God for our kidneys, but what are some of the ailments that impact the kidney? And what are there any foods, for example, that damage the kidney? Any things we take in that can damage the kidney?
Okay, so in terms of things we do that damage the kidneys, there are quite a few. But before, just for educational purposes, I would want to start from the common ones, all right? So the world over, the most common cause of kidney disease actually is diabetes, all right? So, and here in Ghana, about 7% of us, have some form of, or have diabetes, I should say.
What percentage did you just say?
7%, about 7%. To be exact,
Right.
It's about 6.5, 6.4. So on the average, there's no half human being, so 7%, I would say. So 7 out of 100 people typically have diabetes here in Ghana. Now, hypertension is also a major cause of kidney disease. And here in Ghana, about a third of us, so if you take 1 out of 3 people above age 18, they have hypertension. And these are the 2 drivers of kidney disease in our part of the world. So I think I need to mention that quickly. And then we can talk about things that we do. I think you mentioned something that is great in terms of drinking water, and that is what most people don't do when they have healthy kidneys, to ensure that the kidney does not strain itself too much. And that causes the kidney to get tired before, they get to their late ages. So drinking a lot of water, which I would advise that you do, and of course for our viewers to also do. And then the things we eat, that's what you asked about. Now, what we eat is so important, like I said, because if you have so much content that the body struggles to deal with, and for that matter, the kidney struggle to deal with, then that is when it hits, on the kidney over a period of time. Now, hypertension, the major problem with hypertension in terms of what we eat is salt. We love salt. In fact, people sometimes before they taste their meals, they will even shake some salt even on the table on top of it, because we have, adjusted our taste buds to love so much salt. And as we take so much of this salt, it eventually leads to hypertension, which eventually affects the kidney. Now, the other thing is that our dieting, I think we have said it over and over again, it should probably be more laden with fruits and vegetables and less in terms of the fats and the carbohydrates and all of that. But our food is all carbohydrate laden, of course, and when we make some money, then we are eating more proteinaceous food that eventually are more harmful, not just to the kidney, but generally to the body. So if you are to eat, make sure half of your meal is more, in quotes, vegetable laden, with some good legumes and seeds and all that are helpful, for your body, instead of, too much of fat and too much of protein and all. Some plant proteins are the best, actually. And then indeed, fish is also good. But again, animal protein, once in a while is good. But if it's a routine, then it becomes a problem. Then the other thing is sugary content, so we are taking a lot of sugar-containing diet, so we put in so much sugar. Now we have all these sweetness for our kids and all of that. We should watch it, because all of these things with time predispose them to diabetes, which eventually, like I said, is a major cause of kidney disease. And then things we do, alcohol intake. Now young men are taking all sorts of alcohols with all sorts of content. Sometimes we cannot quantify, with whatever the objective to be able to get manpower, sleep with 100 women and all of that. I don't know what. But again, as you do all of these things, know that all the toxins you are taking, it is the kidney that has to flush it out of your body. So if it keeps flushing for a while, and probably you stop it, that's helpful. But if you keep doing it for a long period of time, you tend to run into trouble. Now, smoking, cigarettes and all, and then smoking, now people smoke all sorts of things, shisha, whatever names, they have it now, these young people. And I think all of these things are risky behavior that can affect the kidney. Having said all of these things that we do, the other thing is that sometimes through no fault of yours, by virtue of the family you are born into, you probably might have a risk of kidney disease, so there are some diseases that are in families. So it is important that we keep ourselves checked regularly. Don't just say, because I'm able to pass urine, my kidney functions are fine. My advice is that even if you are passing urine adequately, once in a while, check your kidney function. I keep saying the kidney's function is like the mobile phone that we use. When you charge it in the morning, you pick it at 100. As you keep talking, if you don't look on your phone to know it's now 60% or 20%, you just keep talking, and then with time, it will give you a low battery signal or charge or whatever it is, like around 20% or 15%. That is exactly how the kidney works. So if you are waiting for you to see symptoms first, it might be too late. And that is why once in a while, we need to just check our kidneys to ensure it is healthy, or else the cost that, will come to us will be unbearable.
And it's interesting. So of all the things you've said, and I'm using myself as an example, I am not guilty apart from the sugary bits. And I'm trying to control it as much as I can. I try to drink a lot of fluid, exercise when I can. But I know that our diet here is largely, if you look at the bankus and the tuozafis and the face the walls, kokuntes and everything else we take here, and rice. There's a lot of starch in what we consume, and then that also impacts our, metabolism, processing of sugars, and also, some say it's technically not taking sugar that leads to diabetes, but the failure of the, what's that organ again? The one that produces insulin.
The pancreas?
The pancreas. That is the cause. So I just want you to do that brief education before I bring in Thomas Khan, who has had real life experience with kidney issues. Just clarify that for me.
Yes. So, in fact, when I say sugars, we actually mean carbohydrates, generally. But the point is that if you're actually taking, polysaturated carbohydrates, so carbohydrates that would need the body some time to break it down into those smaller chunks, that's fine. But you know what they are serving you now? The ones that they have already broken into the ones that are not helpful for your kidneys.
So they hit your system straight.
So exactly. So then it puts a lot of strain on their pancreas. And again, of course, with time, it needs to now push a lot of insulin to be able to control it. With time, if you are not able to deal with it, then you run into trouble. But I need to say quickly that those that are pancreatic challenges are actually of the minute, number in terms of, diabetes, all right? So that's what we call the type 1 diabetes. So through no fault of yours, something hits on your pancreas, or you take too much alcohol, it hits on your pancreas. That's actually a smaller chunk. But the majority are because we are not able to absorb the the sugar that we have taken for the liver to work with. That's what we call the type 2. So the type 2 is not like the pancreas has failed from the beginning, but invariably it fails with time. But then what is important is that we try to differentiate the two. Yeah, Ben.
Please hold for me, Doc. Let me also bring in Thomas Khan. Thomas, a very good morning to you. Hello, Thomas.
Hi. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, Thomas. It's good to have you join the conversation. We're very grateful. My first question to you, you've been listening to Doc. What led to your bouts with kidney disease? What ails you as far as your kidneys are concerned? What led to this situation?
Well, what I think is I developed hypertension that I wasn't aware of. Remember when Dr. Kramer was talking, he talked about us having regular checkups and all of that. And I think that is one of the things that I lacked. And, I went to the hospital, I got sick, and one time they said my BP was high. But I didn't get that education that after giving me that medication, I was going to be on it forever. I needed to go back to the hospital to recheck how my BPs were doing. So after taking it, I assumed that it was just the usual rhetorics that, this is a course. So after completion, that was it. Because I felt fine and I thought that was it. And then little did I know that I had developed hypertension. So with time, it deteriorated and then, it got to that stage because I'm not somebody who drinks or smokes, but it happened to me.
Wow. And this is so sad because, yes, Doc spoke about hypertension, blood pressure issues leading to kidney-related issues. And that's exactly what happened to you. So this was basically because the hospital facility you went to simply, or the medical facility, did not inform you that you had to continue with the course, right?
Exactly. So I think that is one of the major challenges.
Wow.
And again, I don't remember taking in this herbal concoction and those things. So basically, that's where I linked the whole thing to.
What has it been?
Hypertension early that I wasn't aware of.
And anyway, what has it been like? Because sometimes I get so it's like someone getting injected and then suffering paralysis because someone did not inject properly. Just the right way to do things. But what has it meant for you over these last 10 years to have kidney disease? What has it been like living through this?
Yeah, Benjamin,
I think we have a little challenge with Thomas Khan's connection. Very delicate issue we're discussing here this morning, and he's been gracious enough to allow us into his private space to share these with us, hoping that, even as we talk about the surrounding issues, all of us are also learning so that we can take better care of our bodies. You become hypertensive, don't take it for granted. It could actually affect your kidneys and lead you into a very, precarious situation. We'll see whether we can get Thomas Khan back. Thomas, please go ahead. If you can hear me, Thomas, please go ahead. You'd have to unmute. Thomas, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just unmute for me, please. All right, we'll try to get Thomas back. Doc, so there you go. Another instance of someone, like you rightly said, it helps in, blood. I think, I don't know whether it's production, so when it goes low, it will help in that. And here you are, blood pressure related issue. I mean, how bad is it that a medical facility did not give him the right guidance? And look at where Thomas has ended up.
Yeah, so I think I would want to say that before maybe we start looking at just the medical facility, I think one of the things he mentioned is the fact that sometimes you might even have this hypertension without knowing. And I think that is the key thing. Our health facilities are there when we are sick. So it is actually made for curative. But this we are discussing now, we are targeting preventive, more of wellness. So the key thing is that don't even wait for any symptom. Keep checking it. And if you find that it is high, then you would have to now seek help in the health facility. And again, that's when now, yes, they needed to have let him know that, listen, hypertension is something that will not disappear overnight, and that we may need to monitor you for a period of time. And the key thing I would want to say quickly is that, there was a caption that, diabetes is the leading cause. Diabetes and hypertension, yes, are the leading causes. But in our part of the world, like people like Thomas, will come in at a relatively young age, where we think that they may not have developed the hypertension for long enough to have been the cause of the kidney disease. So on the other hand, like I told you, that the kidney actually is the one that controls the blood pressure. So that blood pressure that was picked for Thomas, I dare say that it was possible that as of that time, the kidney function was already reducing, and it was only showing as hypertension because now the kidney had lost its ability to control the blood pressure. So in our part of the world, we actually think that there are some other things. That's what includes all these risk factors we talked about in terms of the food we are eating, in terms of risk factors of what we are born with, and we probably get some, damages to our kidney little by little as we are growing up that we don't know until, we are in our 20s or we are in our 30s and it begins to show as kidney disease. And then one of the things we easily can pick is the hypertension. Okay, so I am sure that there's a strong possibility that as of the time they picked the hypertension, probably the kidney function as of then had reduced a bit. And that is where I would say, I'm sure healthcare providers are listening. When you see a person who is less than 40, or you are listening or watching us and you are less than 40 years, and you are told you have hypertension, I beg you, please, 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 suggest nicely to your doctor to at least check your kidney function. And I think that is very important. I believe now we are training doctors to be able to do this, but just in case, assuming they miss on it, it is your life, it is your own. So just suggest to them to, check the kidney function, check a few other things to be able to see where the level is. So if it's probably we're around 60%, 50%, right, then we manage it well to ensure that at least your kidneys can last you a lifetime. Or else, the consequences are dire if we miss this important point.
And of course, you have to take care of yourself. There are lots of times when I'm going for something, I read a lot around it before I go so that I have a conversation with the doctor because that person is not perfect. There may be an oversight and you would be at the losing end because it's your body. A quick one before I bring in Thomas Khan. I'd like to find out, I realize that sometimes do some things that put a lot of strain on the kidneys can lead to severe bodily reactions. For example, you start working out, you've not been working out for a while, and then you start working out, and it's excessive and all of that. I hear that too can have an impact on your kidney and its functions, like a lot of activity all of a sudden, working out. Is that correct? I think Doc's connection is also frozen. Oh, no. Okay, Doc, did you get that question?
No, I thought it was to Khan. So
no, it's to you actually.
Sorry.
Excessive. So let's say abrupt outbursts of working out, for example.
Yes.
Can that affect the kidneys?
Yes, it can. All right. So thank you for that. So when we are discussing it in the chronic sense, I don't want to scare people with the acute sense because trust me, we are all one way or the other at risk of kidney disease because of the major role it plays in our daily lives. So you're right. One day, you want to get some muscles, you want to impress, those ladies, and you decide that, okay, you are actually going to get those muscles overnight. And you wake up so much so that, you have all the muscle aches and all. Now, one of the things we measure in blood to know how well the kidney is functioning actually sits more in the muscle. So when you go and exercise, what you are doing is that you are putting a lot of strain on the muscles. When you put this strain on the muscles and a bit of them will tear and all of that, they release something into the blood. Now, these things they release into the blood, when they are in very high concentrations, they are directly toxic to the kidney. So I've actually had patients who will tell you that, oh, they started gymming just last week and, you know, all of a sudden their urine output has decreased and you check their kidney function and has dropped. But the advantage here is that if you're able to pick it well and keep yourself hydrated, so advice is that whatever exercise you are doing, keep drinking a lot of water. So even when you produce these toxins, their concentrations are low, that at least the kidneys can deal with it. And of course, there's that phase of, you know, pain when you start these exercises, which eventually normalizes with your body. So through that phase, if you are hydrating yourself well, you'll be fine. But nonetheless, if you don't hydrate yourself well and you even run into trouble, when you come in and you need even dialysis, we can guarantee you it's for a short period of time and that the kidneys will bounce back again, you know, for you to go on with your normal life. So it's, you know, it's really possible to exercise and run into trouble then.
It's good that you've said that. The kidneys have, like many other organs of the body, have the potential of bouncing back. Let me come to Thomas Khan now. We lost you when you were sharing your lived experience when it comes to battling kidney disease. Please go ahead, Thomas. Unmute for me.
Yeah. All right. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. So, like I was saying, I had hypertension that I wasn't aware of. So, you know, hypertension is such that if it is not well managed, that is when it can escalate and get to that extent. And that is how I also got myself being a victim of a kidney disease. And again, like I told you, I'm not somebody who does these herbal concoctions and stuff like that. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but this is what has happened to me. So like that Doc mentioned, that it's important for all of us to take care of ourselves. And again, he talked about drinking a lot of water. The irony is that when you have kidney disease, you can't even take in much water. That is the irony of it, because the body cannot, release all that has to come out. So it has never been an easy road for me because you don't get to eat what you want. You can't take in some of the things that everybody else can
and I was just about to get there. So the limitations when it comes to the food you eat, the things you drink, you are limited. Tell us about that.
Very limited. Very, very limited. Very, very limited. I was somebody who loved wache, I loved gobe and all of that. But unfortunately, I can't eat all of that. Yeah, because, beans is high in protein. So all of that, you are being restricted. You can't take it. And again, you can't take in as much water that you can take.
How does that make you feel within your body? Are there times when, for example, you are thirsty, you want to drink, but you are thinking of the consequences of drinking, so you don't drink?
Yeah, you don't do that. So in my situation, and most kidney patients, we do is maybe get stuff that you get some ice cubes or something, then just sip small and then you are fine. So you don't get to drink a lot. So I just take some chilled stuff, maybe ice cubes or just a little chilled water, and then that's kind of quench the thirst.
Wow. If you are out there and you can drink water, you can gulp down the 500 milliliters and the rest. Don't take it for granted. Listen to what Thomas Khan is saying. But in terms of the financial impact, the impact on your pocket over these last 10 years, what has that been like? Paint a picture for us.
In fact, it has not been an easy road, Benjamin. It's been very, very hard, difficult, because there are times that you have to fall on friends and family to just have some money to go to the hospital. At a point, you can ask Richard Kojanyako and other media colleagues, they had to organize some sort of like a fundraising to help me. And it's been my friends, my classmates from Influence Fame, they have been very phenomenal. They've been very supportive. And then I say a big shout out to my mobile fraternity, the Mobile OFO group. They've been very, very supportive. Then my colleague media, colleagues from Media General and all of that, they have been very supportive. If not for them, I wouldn't have been alive speaking to you
We
now.
thank God. We thank God for all of them.
And Benjamin,
their benevolence.
one of the things that I must also comment, there was one time in the quest to get some support for victims of kidney disease. There was one time the current health minister, Ajiba Medu, came to a program in Cape Coast. And then I told him how serious this problem is. And I told him I was even owing at the hospital. And then the minister, current health minister, gave me 1,000 cedis just to go and defray some of the costs. And he promised me that he was going to do something so that those of us living with kidney disease will, at least get some support. But till now, it's been years, and we are yet to see that, promise that he gave us,
I'll come to you shortly, Thomas Khan, so we elaborate on that, because I want us to go a bit heavy on the issue of cost. But let me come back to Doc. So having listened to Thomas Khan, you already are aware of a situation. I was going to go into the details of how much averagely it has cost him over these 10 years to deal with the disease. What then should we know further about kidney disease by way of treatment? At what point do you get to dialysis? And how much more should we know so that we just keep ourselves from even getting there? Doc.
Okay, so thank you very much. So when we talk generally about kidney disease, Ben, so it's actually a whole spectrum. Now, the key thing is that in as much as you've not gotten to the end stage, we call it, or kidney failure, you can stay off dialysis. Now, getting kidney disease in itself is very common. I mean, here in Ghana, as per our study, we have about 13.3% having kidney disease. So if we assume our population at 30 million, some 4 million people have it. Now, those staggering statistics are various stages of it, and they will not need dialysis. But the worrying aspect is that if you don't get it checked, for us to keep you where you are, and it progresses, that is when you get onto dialysis. So we need to understand that, we are all at risk, and that is why you need to definitely check how well your kidneys are doing. So
since you brought that up, before you get to the next bit, so if you require dialysis, okay, how often should you get this dialysis? And I'm asking that question in context. I know you can't respond to the best about cost and the new dynamics we are facing, but if you're supposed to get dialysis, let's say once a week or twice a week, and you don't get that, what would it mean? I mean, in terms of life and death, basically.
Well, if you are not, in fact, ideally, you're supposed to get dialysis done 3 times a week.
3 times?
Yes, 3 times. 3 times. You pee how many times a day? I mean, so indeed, if we need you to be put on the machine, once a week will not be enough. You actually need 3 times a week, ideally. Again, because of cost, most of our patients do it twice and some even once, and some as and when they get some little money. And that is really disheartening. So you need 3 times a week. So looking at Kolibu's numbers, let's say on the average, if it's saving 500, you are talking about 1,500 a week. So that amount, that was given to Thomas by the health minister cannot even take care of 1 week's dialysis alone. And then, of course, for a month, you are talking about, times 4. So let's say 6,000, So if we use Kolibu's new numbers, of course, then you can actually do the math. So it is very expensive, and you need it, because if you miss a day of it, you feel terrible. And I think Thomas will be able to let you know when probably he has to travel and he misses a session of dialysis, the way he feels, because you cannot breathe. You need that machine to take off every fluid from your body. And that's why you are not at liberty to drink too much. So now the key thing is that if you miss it for a period and your fluid accumulates, it goes into your lungs. And if you cannot breathe, it's like you are drowning. I'm sure if you have experienced drowning before, that is how my average patient feels when they miss their dialysis. And with time, you get confused. With time, of course, if you don't get the dialysis, then I'm afraid you are going to die. All right. So you need that machine to survive on daily basis or on weekly basis.
So just clarify for me. I'm doing this intentionally. So if someone misses 2 sessions, or let's say 3 sessions, can that person die? Because of the cost factor. Now, it means that if it's shot up to over 100%, some people naturally simply cannot afford it. How many people can pay that sum of money every week? So if someone misses about 2 or 3 sessions, is it likely they could die?
it depends on what we call their level of kidney function. You know, some are able to pass urine at least, you know. So if you're still able to pass some amount of urine, it cushions you for a couple of days. But I'll tell you a practical example. Somewhere, I think last 2 weeks, my patient missed a session of dialysis and we had to admit in Komfanoche. So if we had not intervened, she would have died straight away. Okay, so it is so important that we realize that depending on your level, when you miss one session, you are dying. Depending on your level, probably if you miss 3 sessions, you are gone. Of course, if you go 2 sessions, it has to 2 weeks, it has to be grace, or else, you know, it will be gone too soon. Yeah.
I know you have to take leave of us. Do you have any final words for the viewers?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity. And I think what I would say is that kidney disease, in my opinion, politicians, people who have the wherewithal, let's not make it look like it is somebody else's problem. It is a national problem. And in any case, the young people who are getting it, Thomas can speak to you now, brilliant chap. If he didn't get the support, he would have been dead and gone. We are losing human resource who will be able to work to pay taxes to government. So please, the government should intervene one way or the other. If you cannot even bear the full cost, at least some bit of support to be able to help out, because indeed, to be able to run the dialysis unit, to be able to make sure this happens, it's cost, and that is why Kolebu is struggling. So if we don't get the needed support, eventually the poor patients are actually going to bear the brunt, and indeed, it's actually straight correlation to mortality in the fact that we are going to lose more of our health, our economic workforce, and they will not be able to pay taxes to government. So let this be a national issue for us to deal with it, you know, the best we can as a nation. Thank you very much, Ben.
Doc, we're so grateful. I can see that you're emotional yourself because you see these things. It's not easy seeing people knowing that probably it's out of control, out of your hands, and that these people could die, and there's nothing you can do. It must be so difficult.
Very difficult, and that's why I always take the opportunity to educate anybody at all, at least, so I decrease the number of people who come on dialysis, you know. So we need to look at this, you know, carefully. Thank you very much, and I will have to run. Thank you very much.
Doc, I wish you the best of the day. We're so grateful that you took the time to engage us. That is Dr. Elliot Kranting Tano, Senior Lecturer here in UST, Senior Specialist and Consulting Nephrologist at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital. Look, wherever you are, before I go back to Thomas, take care of yourself. Watch your BP. Watch what you consume. All these herbal things out there. I'm not saying they're bad. If they are FDA approved and all of that, take care of yourself. Sometimes it takes one wrong thing you put in your body. It messes you up for life. You don't want to do that. Because look, here's a little breakdown, okay? So if you need dialysis 3 times a week, like Doc has just mentioned, if we are using the current rate that Kolebu has put out because of taxation, and I'll go to Thomas for details on that, you are looking at every session costing 765 Ghana cedis, or 765.42 Ghana cedis, okay? That's around $67. If you do that, 3 sessions will be 2,296 plus Ghana cedis, about $198. Let's round it up to about $200. How many people earn that kind of money? If you put the total together for a month, that would be a staggering 9,185 plus Ghana cedis, or almost $800. So just stay away. I mean, do your best. Because if we stick by these figures, many people will simply die. God forbid. Thomas, all of this has got me rather emotional because I was focusing on the cost factor of all of this. If I asked you, for example, over these last 10 years, contributions from MOBA, from Media General, from friends, from other institutions, if I asked you to give us a ballpark figure about how much it has cost you to suffer kidney disease, what would you tell me?
Benjamin, I would say that it's quite a chunk of money. In fact, I can imagine if you owned even multimedia, I'm sure if it was yours, and whatever money you would have gotten, I'm sure by now you would have also run to IMF like the government has done. In fact, it has never been easy at all. And Benjamin, talking about the cost, just the thinking and the thought of cost alone has killed people faster than the disease because people cannot afford it. People can simply not afford there are times that people have come to the hospital and because they can't afford, they tell the hospital authorities that they should just remove the lines. The lines that they use for the dialysis.
Yeah.
There's something we call the fistula, how do you call it? The lines that we use it for the dialysis, just to go and die home because they can't afford. They come and they are like, no, we can't afford. Even at the current rate, for instance, when you go to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, that is charging 350. Even that, people cannot afford. So for now, Benjamin, we are just depending on the cost of dialysis. You know, the dialysis procedure comes with other procedures. That is talking about the medication that accompanies it. We've not even spoken about it yet. And these medications are not even covered by the health insurance. And a periodic lab test that you have to do. So even adding those costs to the dialysis cost itself, that should tell you the quantum of money that goes into it. And like I said, the thought of just the cost alone is killing people faster than the disease. And it's something that the government should do something about it. It is a national crisis that something should be done about it. Recently, we heard government talk about putting up some hospitals called Agenda 111. Benjamin, to tell you the truth, until recently, the whole of Western and Central region were depending on the Cape Coast City Hospital for dialysis. So people from Takwa, Elugu, and all those places were traveling that far distance to come to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for dialysis. It was just recently that the Ifea Kwanta had a dialysis unit there. And then ask, how many machines do we have at the various units? For instance, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, where I do mine, the hospital is 25 years. And the machines we have there are aging. Some of them are more than 10 years, and they are broken down. And the hospital facility cannot provide. It means that government needs to do the provision. And here is a case, there is an excuse that because they are not getting tax exemptions and all of those things, the prices have to go up. So that tells you that it is a national crisis that government needs to do something about it. People are dying, Benjamin, people are dying.
And you know, in recent times, there's been talk about taxes and paying more taxes and all of that. Since we'd like to talk about taxes, I want to look at the UK, for example, and what they do, the NHIA, and how they treat such, cases, kidney disease. I've read lots about the provisions they make, medical facilities, so that people can easily access some of these services. Here, I don't know how our taxes are working for us in this arena. And like Doc said, if we are to pay attention to the figures, that's about 4 million out of our population who are impacted with various degrees of kidney-related disease. So from where you sit, do you think this should be a part of the NHIS so that it can be waived? Is that something you're looking forward to?
This is something that I have been advocating for. As my little way of also helping the situation, I have been doing this kind of advocacy for years, and we've been calling on government to have the NHIS at least absorb some of the costs, even if it is half of it. I think it will help, because I have a friend who is in the US and who is also battling with kidney disease. Over there, the NHIS or the health insurance system there absorbs it. And they even give you the option. Do you want them to do it in the house for you or the hospital? So you even have that luxury and that option to do it. But here, you go to the hospital and then the machines are just limited. For instance, the dialysis process takes 4 hours. So you go to the hospital where the machines are not many. And then you even have one person who comes before you. Look at the number of hours you have to wait to get to your turn. Most times I go to the hospital, I get to the hospital before 3:30 a.m. just to have my turn. Because if you don't go early, it means that you're not going to leave the hospital early. So that alone even is a torture. And again, I should also say that just the cost and everything about kidney disease is a psychological problem, and then there's a mental problem that the government should even have a real look at. Because just the cost again, can give you psychological or
the
mental
cost alone can lead to death. But just hold for me, especially as you are talking about government. We have joining the conversation Kwabena Mintah-Kando. He's Member of Parliament for Dwaboso. He also is on the Health Committee of Parliament. Mr. Kando, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
It's not that good a morning because of the subject we are contemplating. And people, basically, you have about 4 million people in this zone affected by kidney-related disease. And now, Korle Bu is telling us the situation is out of our hands. Our exemptions when it comes to certain equipment has been taken off. So we have to pay tax. And if we have to pay tax, then we must pass it on at a certain point. Why you can Parliament grants exemptions on so many things? Why are we not granting exemptions on something as crucial as this?
Who am I speaking to, please?
This is Benjamin Akakbo on the AM show.
Oh, my own brother, Benjamin. Good morning. I agree with you that the morning is not that very good. And when this issue came about, I was really shocked myself. And so if you recall, 2 days ago, I spoke about it. Yesterday, I spoke extensively about it. And today, Korle Bu has also reacted that he retreated on the price they were intending to charge. But the whole issue is that, my brother, every health facility, public health facility, the main objective is not profit making. It is quality healthcare delivery, unlike other private healthcare facilities. That's number one. Number two, we are talking about health. And therefore, it is in the right direction for government to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Because it is the responsibility or the mandate of the government to ensure that the people in the country receive quality health care. So whatever it takes for us to strengthen our dialysis department or unit to take care of the renal patients, we must do it. And so, for example, buying of equipment, at least every district health facility in this country must have dialysis machines. And these dialysis machines must be purchased by government. Because if you allow the facilities themselves to go and purchase their own machines, for example, sometimes they enter into agreement with the service providers, Philips and Co., those companies, and they will have to raise the money to go and pay. And that is where you have outrageous charges. But if government is the one who has purchased all these machines for the health facilities, then the charges will be minimal. And of course, I agree that there is no sense in withdrawing. It's not as if there was even a tax on it, and we are saying that they should even remove the tax. It was purely an exemption on those materials. And government decided that they need more money, and therefore we should put back taxes on these reagents and these materials.
When did this happen? When were these exemptions taken off?
Quite recently. It's not too long ago. Quite recently. I think it's less than a year. Less than a few months ago.
What was the basis for this decision?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Government says it needs more money. That's all. So what the
government says it needs more money, and so it's taken off the exemptions.
Exemptions. So what I think we should do, and you see, where we as parliamentarians are handicapped is that when the things are presented, the details are not presented like, okay, these are, dialysis reagents in the, proposals or in the memo. Okay? And so, for example, if there are, taxes on some materials or goods, the minister responsible in the sector can write that these equipment or these materials must be exempted. And it is done. They can even write a petition to Parliament for us to also sit on it and make sure that those things are exempted.
But Mr. Kando, it baffles me.
Before you come in, the most important point is that Korle Bu cannot say that because we are going through difficulties, we will sit at Korle Bu and fix our own price. It's not done. It's illegal. So even if there are problems...
You're saying what Korle Bu is doing is illegal?
It's illegal. He's the first...
But how do you expect them to sustain the service if they don't do something like this? Then everything will shut down.
My brother, this this country is regulated by law. It is not for nothing that we have Fees and Charges Act. So before you do that, you must come to Parliament and convince us that this is the reason why you must pay so and so and so charge. And so whatever they are doing at the moment, it's illegal.
But how can you hold them? How can you hold them culpable when government, in order to do what it did, came to you in Parliament and you approved it?
What I'm saying to you is that if you say reagents or equipment, we in Parliament will not know that, and I've already indicated to you that there are some other equipment or materials that the minister has that power to write to us to exempt, given the critical nature of those equipment. And no such things have come to Parliament. But before then, we have these exemptions already in place until it was removed. So it can be done. It's not as if they came to us and we have approved that go and put taxes on, what do you call it, reagents for dialysis. And there's another second leg of it. They are also saying that the procurement cover that government provides for them, government is saying that they have stopped. They are no more providing procurement cover for them again. Whereas in our part, whatever we can do as members of Parliament, when they come to us and tell us the consequences of whatever law in place, we are ready and willing to go the full length with them. You understand? But you don't sit down and say, because I am going through these challenges, this is what I have decided to do. It's not done.
Okay, so we know that other health facilities are maintaining, Cath and others are maintaining their prices, but this is what Kolebu has said. We'll see how that issue is dealt with. Hold on for me.
I'm told this morning that Kolebu has, released a press statement that they've retreated. They are no more charging the 765 they intend charging. So you can verify. So
okay.
We have that.
Should we put dialysis, on the NHIS, the scheme? And then again, if not, what are you going to do about this tax situation so that there can be some normalcy? Because like it or not, if the taxes keep adding up, at some point, something will have to be done, and the medical facilities may be pushed to the wall.
These questions are the way forward. I like this question. Okay, now, the first thing is that Kolebu should go to the minister, and they should even write a petition to us, or all the health facilities. They can write a petition to us at Parliament. In fact, most of these tax exemptions are dealt with by the Finance Committee. But as the Health Committee, we are their advocates, so they can come to us and then we'll speak for them on these tax exemptions matter. So the window is not closed at all. We can sit down and see the way forward. But the second issue, that has to do with the National Health Insurance absorbing the dialysis. That would have been fantastic. But you see, then, let's just not pretend. Our National Health Insurance Act as this now is we are all pretending. It's a National Health Insurance scheme where subscribers go and they are still giving bills to go and pay. They call it co-payment. So you go to the hospital and then you have to go and buy paracetamol. Because health service providers are saying that government is not paying realistic tariffs. And so, for example, they will go and buy paracetamol 5 Ghana cedis in the market. Government says, according to the tariff we are paying only 3 cedis. So when the subscribers or the patients go, they will say, we don't have paracetamol, so you have to go and pay. So the one we have now is already weak. If you add dialysis, you just add just for the sake of addition. Because the people will go and pay it anyway. So what we must do is that we must strengthen the national health insurance we have at the moment. How do we do that? The national health insurance levy we all pay. For example, government projected to collect 5.7 billion Ghana cedis for national health insurance as national health insurance levy. Now, government is giving only 2.7 billion Ghana cedis to national health insurance authority per year 2023 formula. Where is the rest going? They are taking the rest back to consolidated funds to use it for whatever they want. So what you are giving to the National Health Insurance cannot put their full expenditure for the year. So they will end up giving unrealistic tariffs to the service providers. And we won't get the quality health care we need. And so we must sit down and say that, look, all the 5.7 billion Ghana cedis must go back to the, what do you call it, the National Health Insurance Authority. Let's use it for its intended purpose. Even if there is a gap, then we can sit and then talk about the gap. But you don't take a chunk of the money and then you come back and say there's a gap. So there's a whole conversation about the National Health Insurance absorbing more diseases. That is a problem. Even if we are not taking the dialysis completely, there could be an arrangement. Okay, now it's 380. And so if you have the National Health Insurance card, if you come and pay 100 Ghana cedis, it's a way forward. So we can think through all these, avenues and come to some kind of win-win situation. But the National Health Insurance Act, it stands now, there's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. Well, just finally, in some 20 seconds, what action will you take on this? I want to know, moving forward, what will you do as a member of the Health Committee?
Exactly. We have started this conversation. The first thing we need to do is that government must decap the National Health Insurance. First thing to do. Government must decap. And I was talking about this severally on the floor of the House, in the media, everywhere. It doesn't even make sense to cap any health facility in this country. Do you know that at the moment, government is even saying that the internally generated funds from the health facilities, they must bring some to the central government? Do you know that even the light jails that is being subsidized for the health facilities, the government says no way, they are not more going to pay it again. So these are issues. So we are all going to start a conversation on some of these. But the first thing to do is to decap the health sector. That's the first thing to do.
Thank you. Kwabena Mintah Kando is Member of Parliament for Dwaboso. He is also on the Health Committee of Parliament. Thomas, before I come to you, we're activating the phone lines, yeah? So if you have any concerns, any thoughts to share, you heard the Member of Parliament for Dwaboso saying basically it was like a veiled thing done. So when government says, we want more taxes, we need more taxes, it comes en bloc. So they can't detach or decouple and realize that in there, as you approve, it's also going to affect medical equipment, including what is used for dialysis. But that is how far we've come. Government is taxing practically everything. And now, those who need dialysis, that treatment, to ensure they stay alive, if something is not done soon, we could imperil their lives. Are you affected? Do you have any kidney-related disease? Is it diabetes leading to something of the sort? Or do you have a relative in that, situation? Even if you don't, what are your sentiments on this matter as a Ghanaian? It could be you, it could be me, any day. 0302-211-691 is the number to call. Call and let us know what your thinking is. Send a message to government. 0302-211-691. Let me come to Thomas. Listening to Kwabena Mintah Kando, does it surprise you that government has pushed on taxation to this point where it is affecting literally your life?
Well, Benjamin, it's really disheartening and scary. Really scary. Very, very scary. Because all this while, we have been praying that government will have a subsidy for us. Because always you ask the health professionals, and the excuse is that because of the taxes. And then again, the inputs used for dialysis are imported. So if they have to go and pay huge sums of money at the ports just to get these inputs into the country, and then they are being taxed or they are being charged at that high rate, then it means it's a problem. It's a problem that government needs to do something immediately about it. Because, Benjamin, like I told you, we are losing a lot of lives. People I began dialysis with 10 years ago, not even a single person is alive. A lot of them, it is not because of the disease. They died because they couldn't afford.
About how many people are we talking of? These are people you started dialysis with. None of them is alive.
Plenty. Not even one. Not even one.
Give me a ballpark figure. I mean, how many? 5, 10?
I can say more than 100 people.
More than 100 people?
Yeah. As far as my memory serves me right.
And for you, you are alive because of the support, the financial support you have got. That is what has sustained you.
And then again, apart from the financial support, I told you about the cost. People are dying just because of the thought of the cost, just the thinking of the cost. That alone can give you a mental problem. People are just thinking of the money they have to go and pay at the hospital, because this is a disease that you have to be going to the hospital at least every 2-3 days. You have to go to the hospital. So if we are not getting the money to go, what would that result to? You'll be thinking about where to get the money and all of that. So it's a serious problem that we need to tackle as a nation.
Let me come to the bit about what Kolebu per Kwabena Akando has released, that they are going back to the former price. But I know that if the taxes remain, it's only a matter of time. For those of you watching, I'd like to hear from you. 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691. But for you, Thomas, what kind of relief? I know you don't go to Kolebu for your dialysis, I mean, per what you've told me. But for those who go, I mean, what sort of mental and emotional turmoil would they have been going through just hearing that is going to increase by over 100% per what you've been telling me? Hello, Thomas. We've unfortunately lost the connection to Thomas. We'll try to get him back on the line, or via Zoom, I should say, so we can have this conversation. But, you know, all of this has really got me thinking. Someone came into the country recently and asked me about our health system, and I had to tell the person what the realities are. Recently, we went somewhere, a medical facility, and even getting a bed. I mean, it's something we talk about so often, but you have someone in a dire situation and they can't even get a bed. What kind of country is this? We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Alex. I'm calling from Bibiani.
Alex from Bibiani, what are your thoughts on this matter?
I don't know. It's very, very disheartening. I don't know what is happening to this country. Our leaders are being too callous. We are not thinking about the ordinary Ghanaians, the people who put them there, the people who ensure that they are at where they are. And they are just putting more hardship on us each and every day. How can the ordinary Ghanaians afford the amount that they are talking about? If the person is able to, get an amount of 500 Ghana cedis within the month, how can such a person get pay for this amount that they are talking at the hospital? It means the person will have to go and die, which is very, very unfair. Our leaders have to think about us, because that is why we put there. They have to think about us. At times you think about these things and you don't understand why Akufo-Addo is doing all these things. It is not fair. It is not very, very fair at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex from Bibiani, for calling. I just want to say this. Mr. Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, Mr. Finance Minister, is it possible, I mean, respectfully, with all the taxes, fine, is it possible to look at this specific issue and grant some sort of waiver on this equipment? It is so sad. Is it possible, Mr. Finance Minister, is it possible, Mr. President, for you to step in and say, you know what, the times are hard, but we can't squeeze water out of stone. And as far as this group or many other medical exigencies, let's take them off so that people don't die. Why does it have to get to this? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please.
Please, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Tairo. I'm calling from Upper East.
Your name is what?
Tairo, please.
Right. Please go ahead.
Please, I want to urge a government to look at it very seriously. This one, a lot of people will die. There's no money in the system. Already there's no money to even eat. And we are increasing from 300 up to 700. Where's the money? Let's assume now you are a government worker and you are taking 2,000 months, and this one you have to take that every week. Your salary, you can't even buy the system, the drug. So they should take it seriously. I'm urging the government to do something about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the call. So if you need this every 3 days, max, and you're spending even, let's approximate it, 300 cedis. It's more, but let's say it's 300 cedis. You will need about 4,000 thereabouts a month to take care of your dialysis. How much do you earn? How much does the average Ghanaian earn? And even those 300 cedis are inhibitive. They are prohibitive. How many people can afford it? And if there's any jump in it, it's just going to be worse. Mr. President, Mr. Finance Minister, this one, you say you know how to restore the economy. That you've not even been able to do. You say you cannot bring back lives, but at least you can waive taxes, take off taxes to save lives. About 4 million people could be affected, directly or indirectly, by this. 0302-211-691 is the number to call. 0302-211-691. We'll try to get back Thomas Khan and find out what his thoughts are, final thoughts are on these dynamics as we move on, and take your calls as well right before we wrap this conversation and move on to talk about the Tema motorway, which in itself has become a death trap. If you'd like to share your sentiments, your thoughts, if you'd like to call on government to do something about the situation, and like I said, it is other people today. We may think it is other people's problems. Tomorrow, it could be your problem, my problem. God forbid, but that is the reality. 0302-211-691. Do we have Thomas back? Thomas Khan, can you hear me? All right, we still do not have Thomas. I'll give just a little bit of more time for reactions from you, but per what Kwabena Mensah Kandor, the Member of Parliament for Draboso, also on the Health Committee, is telling us this morning, I have not personally seen the document, and so I am merely regurgitating what he has said, that the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has rescinded its decision to hike the prices. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Please speak up for me. Your name, where you're calling from?
My name is Kweku. I'm calling from Obuasi.
Kweku in Obuasi?
Yes.
What are you thinking of?
Yeah, what I'm thinking of, everything in this country is turning into politics. Every morning discussing NDC, MPP, Alain Martin, Kofo, Kufuadu, Mahama, everything are turning into politics. And that's why it's leading to this problem. We are not talking about national issues, and everything is about NDC and NPP. I think they should stop discussing those things and then look forward on our health issues. Thank you very much.
Before you go, how do you think we can resolve this particular issue, for example, outside of the politics? We have a government, we have an opposition. What is your proposal?
My proposal is we should develop a national interest. So that if on health issues, national interest, like if NPP or NDC comes and then we are talking of this national interest, like Mahama started building hospitals before him and then he abandoned it. He started Agenda 111. We should have a national issue that if this is the way we are going, every government comes, we should follow. That's how I think it's supposed to be. Not that I have my policy when I can do my own thing. This government also comes in doing its own thing. That will not help the country.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling into the program and sharing your thoughts. Well, I believe this is how far we have come. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. This is the precarious situation some of our brothers and sisters find themselves in. Like I keep saying, I am troubled this morning because imagine your life hanging by a thread, knowing that, or thinking that if anything should happen and you don't get the dialysis or the treatment you require, you could be dead within a few days. All because of a lack of the financial muscle and all because of a lack of leadership, so to speak. Think about that. Well, we cap off this end of the conversation. When we return, I have used that stretch at least some 6 to 7 times in the last month or so. I'm talking about the Tema motorway. And it's gradually becoming more and more of a death trap. Concrete patched with asphalt and so many things. Many of the stretches uneven. Now there are wild cracks on some section, both to and fro. It is just a terrifically dangerous sight. But people have to ply it every day because that's where they come from. People have experienced tire bursts and all of that on that stretch. But what is the way forward? When we return, we go straight to the Tema motorway and find out what exactly is happening there. But before we do, which school will emerge the overall winner of the maiden edition of Joy Prime's Big Chef Tertiary and run off with a cash prize of 20,000 Ghana cedis, 10,000 liters of Syntex tanks, and other amazing products from our sponsors? Well, Big Chef Tertiary Grand Finale is coming to the Volta region, specifically the Ho Technical University campus on Sunday, the 1st of October 2023 at 4 p.m. This grand finale will be determined by voting. So you have a 40% say in the voting for your favorite institution via the short code *713*208# and following the prompt. Takoradi Technical University, Kumasi Technical University, Ho Technical University, and residents of Ho are invited to join Joy Prime, the Big Chef finalists, and Premier Unique Kipfit Club for an aerobics session at the Volta Serene Hotel tennis court on Saturday, September 30, 2023 at 6 a.m. Big Chef is sponsored by Frytol Cooking Oil, Fortune Rice, Indomie, Syntex Tank, Access Bank, U-Fresh Drinks, and Trinity Oil. It's supported by the Volta Serene Hotel, Atlas Rent and Car, and Sky Plus Hotel and Resort. Big Chef Tertiary, the kitchen has no boundaries. Joy Prime, your ultimate experience. Well, we're coming your way with more right after the break. We did say we were taking you to the Tema motorway stretch, and there you have it. If you saw that little bit and you had your mouth wide open, that's just the tip of the iceberg if you've used that stretch recently. Well, on the ground, my colleague Carlos Caloni is assessing, finding out what exactly has been happening. He's been interacting with a few people. Carlos Caloni, do let me know, what so far have you gathered? And you can go ahead with your interactions with commuters on that stretch.
Here, I mean, on the road that leads from the Tema to Accra side. Behind me, you can see the level of traffic that goes all the way to the Ajekojo area. And this is happening because of the potholes on this portion of the road. Now, myself driving from Tema to this place took me about 45 minutes due to the state of the road. And this is not happening. This is not the first time this is happening. This has been happening for a lot of months now because of the potholes on the Lakpakpala bridge here on the Accra-Tema motorway. we will try to speak to a few of the motorists to understand how this is actually affecting them. But before we do that, the interesting aspect of this whole thing happening here on the motorway is that two ride-hailing drivers who are Uber and Yango drivers have decided to volunteer today to fix this potholes that actually causing the gridlock on this stretch. And I'm going to be speaking to them to find out when they got here and what actually motivated them to engage in this particular activity here. So as you can see in your shot, you have Emmanuel and Asante. They are busily taking this earth here to fill the potholes on the Accra-bound stretch of the Accra-Tama motorway. And so I'm going to be engaging with them to understand what really motivated them to do this. You are live on Joy News. What's your name?
My name is Kojo Asante. Okay.
All right, and your name is?
My name is Emmanuel Boateng.
Great. So these are two ride-hailing drivers. Their vehicles are parked right here in your shot. You can see these two vehicles parked here. They came here purposely to ensure or to fill the potholes to help or enhance traffic flow. These are the two vehicles in your shot, and these are the drivers with me who have decided to volunteer to fill the potholes. And so I'm going to be speaking to them. Okay, so Ima, tell us, what time did you get here?
Okay, great, wonderful. Yeah, this morning we wake up around 5:30 a.m. and we came through the motorway because of the purpose we are here, because the road was very bad, and then we have road minister and the president, but the president himself have a road minister, but he didn't know that the road was bad or not. But as we are Uber drivers and boat drivers, and we always use the road, and the road was scratching our tires, that we have a puncture, all those, and we are thinking about it, how are we going to make it? But the plan is that we wake up this morning, we said, no, my friend, let's go and construct the road. The potholes, everything, there's a sign on the roadside. Let's start taking the sign and close the potholes on the road so that it can help all of us. So as we are here for the nation, and we are here for all of us. Those people stay around Dowenya and Tema. They are coming, they have to reach office around maybe 12 and 11 a.m. But we have to see the road was very bad, so we start doing it as the government is looking there. As we are here for all of us. We are here for all of Ghanaians. Everyone is using this road. People from Tamale, people from Takoradi, everyone use this road. So it even though the time we reach here, some of them blast their tie, and we said that, have you seen it? It's very bad. It's breaking all of us. So as we are here for helping all of us.
All right, thank you. So when you arrived here around 5 a.m., what was the traffic situation?
There's a heat of traffic from here to Pram, Ashama overhead, from Pram to Dowenya Road. That's where the traffic from. So we are here. We are working. We are doing our best.
Okay, let me engage Asante to a bit. So you came here around 5 a.m.
Yes, please.
And in fact, when I arrived here, I saw you actually pouring this earth onto the road. And tell us, when you came and now, what has changed in terms of the traffic flow?
Oh, please, we started to fill the potholes. Now you see that now the traffic is moving. It's moving. So now what we have did, maybe people are to appreciate us. They can give us something small. We don't think about any money or something, but we just use our own money to buy water. And today, our sales, we don't think about sales. For the nation, we think about the nation. So today says, whether we get it or we don't get it, that one is not concern us. You see? So we just help the nation that the traffic should move and it should move to help everybody.
So why have you decided to forfeit your daily sales? I mean, if you had gone to work today, you would have made some good money, and you are spending the time to do all of this. Why?
You see, I'm a volunteer. As a volunteer, you don't think about whatever you get today or tomorrow. Maybe something's going to happen. You don't know. So that's why we decided to come here to come and fill the potholes for everybody. It's not me alone. So I use this motorway day in, day out, night, every day. So I just help everybody to fill the potholes and they should work nicely.
All right, share with us your experience on this stretch. I mean, in the night when you drive on this road, the fact that we have no street light and this particular portion is very bad. Share those experiences with us.
In terms of light situation, you have a problem. In case maybe your light is not good at all, if you are driving in the night on the motorway, you can't see anything. You can't see anything, and there's potholes on the motorway. So if you are coming, if you didn't make careful, you just burst your tire. You burst your tire, and if you didn't get careful, you just get accidents, and maybe you involved in something. So that's why we volunteer ourselves to help the people. And those who doesn't know the road well, if they are using the road, they will use the road carefully.
All right, so do you intend to spend the whole day here?
Yes, I intend to spend the whole day here to help the people. I don't mind. I don't mind whether my 6 I won't get my 6 or I'll get my 6. I won't mind. I want to spend the whole day here to help everybody. Yeah.
What would you want to say to the Ghana Highways Authority and the road ministry regarding the state of this road? In fact, the potholes at this particular spot.
Please, the Ghana Highway, they know that the road has spoiled, but they know that the road has spoiled. But I don't know the reason why they don't want to fix the road for us, because they are using siren and other things. So if they are coming, they just use motorcade and pass. So we can spend the whole day on the motorway. As example, our fuel is expensive. So you just be in the motorway and just spend your your petrol and so much of things. And you see the day will
yeah, you just waste the entire time. Thank you so much, Asante. Yima, before I let you go, what would you want to say to the Ministry of Road as well as Ghana Highways Authority?
Okay, actually, the Ministry of Road, Oforiata and what do you call?
Amakwata, you mean Amakwata?
Honorable Amakwata, he is aware that the road was very bad. But maybe the income is not coming. So we can't put pressure on him. But he also have to think about us. As the thing is spoiling or is going wrong, he need to take care of us. And he need to come on the road and look at it. If the road is not done, some of the potholes should have been covered all those, you know. And we all of us, we are the nation. So we need to help. Okay. But there's nothing bad. Even though today we leave our cars, says getting the money is not a problem for us. We don't have, but we know that we don't have. But we also try our best to help all of us on the road.
All right, so the laterite you are using to fill the pothole, if it rains now, it's going to be washed away. Do you intend to come here, regularly to ensure that this...
Yeah, even though the tools we are using, the wheelbarrow and the shovel, I went to rent it from some man. I rent it to do the work for ourselves. So we rent the machine to do the work. So we
all from your own resources?
Yeah, it's from my pocket. I use my own money to rent the shovel and then the wheelbarrow to do the work. Yeah, but people are driving through. They don't have to even buy water for us. Okay. But we don't care, we don't mind. Right. We don't look at anyone. So we are praying. We are praying.
Thank you so much. So that was Emmanuel and as well as Asante. They are two ride-hailing drivers who are currently on the motorway. And what they are doing is that they are filling the pothole with some laterite here. And it's according to them, it's their own way of solving the problem or helping solve the problem. And so we are still here on the Lakpakpa Bridge, where potholes are just uncountable. And we, as you can see in your shot, that's Asante and Emmanuel. They are risking their lives, trying to fill these potholes to enhance free flow of traffic. I mean, they deserve some commendation, but their safety is what we are looking at. And since morning, they've been here from 5 a.m. up to now, and indeed we can say that the flow of traffic has improved a bit because it's making vehicles to move a bit faster at this spot. The only concern is that if it rains now, this particular material you see in your shot definitely is going to be washed away. And so you can look at the traffic situation from this angle, and this is it. So when the vehicles get to this portion, they need to slow down, which is creating the snake effect, all the way to the Ajay Kojo and sometimes to Ashaiman underpass. And so what they are doing is definitely a temporary measure just to enhance free flow of traffic. They intend to be here the entire day to ensure that vehicles are able to move. And so what you are seeing are live pictures from the Accra-Tama motorway on the Accra-bound stretch of the motorway. I have one motorist who would want to share his experience with us on this particular spot. Yeah, so you're live on Joy News. Give us your name and tell us, how long have you been in this traffic this morning?
About almost 1 hour, 30 minutes now. And my name is Nene Mateduo. I'm a chief of Usuduku, and I'm a Kapua driver. Almost 1 hour, 30 minutes now from motorway runabout, getting to this abattoir, 1 hour 30 minutes, and it's very embarrassment. It's big embarrassment. Thank you very much.
What then would you want to say to the authorities regarding this situation?
I don't know what to tell them. It's a shame. It's a big shame, and there's nothing I can do because I'm a staff of Ghana Port and Harbour Authority. I don't want to be sacked because if you don't know how to talk, they just sack you. So I beg. I'm thinking of my wife and my children. Thank you very much.
So, impact on your fuel and the time you spend?
Yes. I have to go and work in the afternoon. By 1:30 to I have to be in the port. And I'm going to service my car at Abosokai and look at the inconveniences. And it's big embarrassment.
So you drive at Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, which means that you often use this road in the night and all that. Share your personal experience with us when you get to this particular spot.
This particular spot, every day there's traffic on this area. And you know, when you are driving at night, all of a sudden some car will just break down, and if you are not careful, you jump the car. So here is, we the driver, we call here death trap. This is a death trap, and it's a big embarrassment because even having been to outside, but no Togo, Benin, Nigeria, I've been driving there, no Burkina. And these people, we don't regard them. But when you go to that country, you don't see these things there. So it's a big embarrassment. So thank you very much.
All right, please, your name again?
Yeah, my office name is Bismarck Harrison Lawe, but I'm a chief. Okay. Yeah, Nene Matedwa II of Osuduku.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. Have a safe journey and please drive safe. And so that was a motorist actually sharing his thought with us with regards to the potholes on this particular Accra-bound stretch of the Accra-Tama motorway. And so that's the traffic situation. We'll try to see if we can zoom in far away so you can see the length of this particular gridlock here on the Accra-bound stretch of the Accra-Tama motorway. It goes all the way to Ajay Kojo, and according to them, drivers say they are spending hours, in this gridlock just to cross about 5 or so kilometers. And so the pictures you see are live pictures from the Accra-Tama motorway, where 2 ride-hailing drivers have actually decided this morning to volunteer the entire day to fill this pothole, which is actually helping ease free flow of traffic. I'll try and see if I can get some of the motorists to speak to and to find out from them what they make of the situation. Yeah, so these are live pictures in your shot. And so we will be trying to speak to other motorists to find out from them what they make of the volunteer work that these 2 ride-hailing drivers are actually undertaking, and also the long-term permanent solution that they would want the authorities to look at. And so we are coming to you live from the Accra-Tama motorway. It's a bit difficult getting some of the motorists to speak to, but as you can see in your shot, the pothole situation has created a lot of gridlock on the stretch. Let me try and bring your attention to how bad the road is. It's a bit dangerous, but we're going to be careful to try to show to you. So you can see in your shot here This is the level of damage. And this is just one out of the hundreds of the potholes on this particular stretch. Other places you could even see iron rods. In fact, when I arrived here, portions of it, iron rods were still exposed. But because the laterite have been poured onto it, it's been filled up, and that's why we are unable to see iron rod. But all of this spots, so when the vehicles get to this point, they are compelled to slow down, which is actually causing the gridlock you see behind. And so we'll keep our eye on the situation and try to see if we can speak to some motorists. And so if you are watching us, these are live pictures from the Accra-Tema motorway, and the updates or the news is that two ride-hailing drivers have decided to volunteer today to fill these potholes here this morning. According to them, the neglect and the experiences they've had on the stretch is a bit too much for them, and they wouldn't want others or other road users to go through such a situation, for which reason they have decided to undertake this particular work that you see in your picture. And so that's the situation. We are trying to see if we can speak to some of the motorists. For now, it's a bit difficult getting them, but that is the situation here on the Accra-Tema.
That is my colleague Carlos Caloni, of course, bringing us the latest from the Tema motorway stretch there. The unfortunate scenes, and you can still see in your shot what they are having to do. And even with this patchwork, should there be any rain, it will all be washed away. And that is creating quite a situation by way of the traffic congestion, the gridlock on that stretch. We'll bring you more on that in our subsequent shows and bulletins. But do stay with us. We'll be back with a lot more. We had that conversation on dialysis as far as our medical facilities are concerned, and the latest statement from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, well, saying that it is going back, it is rescinding its decision to increase the charges. And we know what the dynamics are by way of tax. We'll be bringing you details of that right after the break. Before we take that break, though, your favorite TV game show in Ghana, Step Up, is back with another amazing season. This time we're stepping up with Syntax Tank. Step Up with Syntax Tank will see contestants answer trivia questions to win cash prizes of 400 Ghana cedis, all the way up to the sum of over 6,000 Ghana cedis weekly, and also get other products from our sponsors. This season, you viewing at home should watch out for the Syntax question of the week. Be the first to answer correctly via WhatsApp or SMS to the number 0508 338 888 and win incredible prizes from sponsors. The person who answers most of the weekly questions the fastest gets a 65-inch Samsung television at the end of the season. Step Up with Syntax Tank, a unique television experience. Step Up with Syntax Tank is sponsored by Bell Ice, MTN Momo, and Angel Cola. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. I did hint before we took that short break that we'll be heading to Korle Bu. We're going to have an interaction now with the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It's good to have you. So in recent days, we've been very concerned on the back of what we heard, that there were some moves to increase the cost of dialysis at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Then we heard from the likes of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, among others, saying they would maintain their prices. And then we heard from Korle Bu that, look, it is not our fault. It's because of the taxes on these products. But we hear today that in your latest release, you are rescinding on that decision and saying that you're going back to the final or the earlier costs. Just walk me through how we got here. And I have your statement. If you'll bear with me, I'll just read portions of it. It says, this is to inform the general public and our patients that a price review proposal presented by the renal dialysis unit is yet to receive consideration and approval by management of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Any proposed fee will be forwarded to Parliament through the Ministry of Health for approval. It is only after the due parliamentary approval that any revised fees will be implemented. So let me ask you, that then means that the price restructuring is still on the table, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not to the same extent. So I think you asked a very good question. So let us walk through how we got here. So under normal circumstances, based on the cost of inputs, department will make proposals for adjustments in the fees or tariffs for any particular service that is being rendered. And in this case, the dialysis unit put in a proposal for a review of fees and charges. But internally, it will go to the head of the medical department, who will then review it and then to pass on to the Director of Medical Affairs, who reviews it and then brings it to the CEO, and then CEO tables it at the Central Management Team. And then once we are okay with that, board also approves, and then we send it through Ministry of Health to Parliament for approval. So at each stage, this proposal undergoes review and scrutinization, because we don't have to look at things just from the department's perspective, but we also look at in terms of our client base, affordability. So we have to have this kind of wider stakeholder engagement that would then help us to settle on a price which would enable us to at least break even, recover costs, and then also not overburden our patients. So, but unfortunately, this one was even just was even yet to hit the Director of Medical Affairs desk. So unfortunately, somebody jumped the gun. So there was a bit of, as I said, jumping the gun there. And so that poster that Moses put up was rather premature, because the final figure has not even been settled on yet, because it's after the review process. We'll take it and up all the way to Parliament. And the Parliament also reviews and can decide to approve or to even amend it further. So that's the kind of process that we go through. So I'd like to apologize to the public for any the fear and panic that this has caused, and we are doing the needful. But it must be also said that definitely the current tariff was set a couple of years ago, and definitely we know that there's a movement in prices, and therefore and our service is not immune from those variations. So definitely there has to be a review. But as to what quantum is what is yet to be determined.
Doc, you apologize for the fear and panic that this may have created. And I know it's a very tricky spot to be in. But the reality, too, is that with the tax exemptions that have been taken off some of the logistics that you use for these products, it means that cost has gone up for you, for your outfit. And, of course, it's been a number of years. Let's face the reality. Things cost a lot more. Right?
Okay, thank you very much. But I think that's also an erroneous impression that has been created, because there's no tax exemption has been taken off, no new taxes have been introduced on the medical consumables. But then, unfortunately, so in this instance, sometimes when people don't have complete information, sometimes they can create some of these distortions. Now, in this particular, usually what happens
just my apologies, before you go on. We have heard that the PRO has stated that...
I wasn't referring to you. I wasn't referring to you.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
I'm just talking about how we got here. So I'm not blaming a particular, but what I'm saying is that in this particular instance, so let's say somebody at the renal unit, if you speak to somebody at the renal unit, he's going to tell you that in this particular instance, we paid for what do you call it? We paid duty on the consumables that we received, but it was because of a peculiar situation. It wasn't because
anybody had taken off any waiver. What usually happens is that usually these consumables arrive by sea freight. So once the bill of lading is sent to us, we apply to the Ministry of Finance through the Ministry of Health, and they process, to get a waiver. So that by the time the goods arrive, the waiver has been approved, and then we get a waiver, we get a consent, so we don't pay those. But then we had a peculiar situation this time because our stock level of consumables were low, and of course that had the location because there were some contractual issues with the main supplier, and which were ironing out. So it took a while for this to get sorted, but we eventually got it sorted. But then, because of the urgency, these goods were air freighted, in, and because we didn't want the service to run out, we needed to clear them quickly. And of course, the paperwork takes a while to go through, and so we're looking at the cost of storage at the airport with the demurrage, because when your goods stay beyond a few days, it starts. So we're looking at the tax that we're going to pay versus the demurrage. Because we realize that looking at the time frame, we may actually end up paying more if we go for the waiver. So we decided to then just pay and get them cleared so that our patients can the services can resume. So that was what was done. So in this particular, it wasn't because we were denied any waiver or anybody had imposed any new tax, but it was because of the particular situation we were in at the moment. So that needs to be clarified.
All right. So let me try to reframe what you're saying to ensure that I correctly get everything you're saying.
Yeah.
The discussion we have had up to this point suggests that some exemptions on your medical supplies, including that attached to dialysis or used for dialysis, had been taken off, for which reason you are now having to pay more, and which would also translate into more cost for those patients who need dialysis. You are saying here that that is not the case.
Yes, that is not. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That is not the case.
All right. You are also saying that this is a one-off.
Why in this particular instance we paid. So if that's what I'm saying, that if you talk to somebody at the dialysis, they may say, "Oh, this time we paid for it," but the reason is not what is being attributed to.
So again,
that's the clarification I'm providing.
Just for the sake of clarity, so this also means that this was a one-off situation, and that moving forward, you will not face the same challenge.
It's actually happened. I think a year or two ago, we had a similar situation. So it was a one-off. So administratively, we absorbed that cost. So we didn't pass it on to the patient.
Okay. So what happened this time for you to even consider passing on the cost?
No, we have not. That's what I'm saying, that it is a proposal for the department level. So that proposal is yet to be reviewed by management. You understand? So that's the proposal. That this is what I think I want to charge.
From what point did that proposal come? My point is, if there's a proposal, then it means that some shocks must have been felt for it to be contemplated that it ought to be passed on. So from which level did that money?
Way before this current consumer arrived, there's already been a discussion that we need to. There has to be a review. I thought that the current charges were set a couple of years ago. So even following the normal trend of price of goods and services, we all, would agree that there has to be some review of the current tariffs. But then, in terms of the specific cost for the renal service, they needed to factor in the actual cost of the consumables, and because the supply from the supply had stalled, and we didn't have the actual invoice, it would be difficult to have a specific proposal. So it was when this came in, then they were able to put numbers to the proposal, and they afforded. So it's actually now going through the process to come for approval, or review at management level. And if management thinks, okay, this is okay, and then to be processed further.
How long have you been aware of this proposal that was snuck out or put out?
And I'm saying that this proposal is just, I'm saying that it's not even done around to the central administration level. So this is something that is happened, has not even reached the medical directives at the time that this thing came out. So that's why I told you that somebody jumped.
So as of the time it came out, you were not aware of it?
At the time it had not reached the chief executive's office yet. So it was even the director of medical affairs. It was just at the department level. So this was a proposal for the unit. You see, there's a unit works on that department. So from the unit, it went to the head of department. So it was at the department level. It hadn't even gotten to the director of medical affairs, who also reviewed further and then passed it on to the chief executive, and then goes out. So that is the process. And I'm saying that it was the unit had passed it on. I'm sure somebody thought that once it had gone on, then probably it had been approved or whatever. I don't know what informed that, but that's why we are. So immediately the director of medical affairs became aware that this had happened. A directive was issued to them to pull down the notice and to revert the old price till the necessary approval has been received from the Parliament before they can go ahead.
Was this not just a reaction based on the hue and cry, the outcry by people? That is why you pulled down the notice. Because if you say it hadn't got to your office, you were not in the know, and yet a notice had been put up like this, I'm struggling to tie the loose ends.
Unfortunately, that is what happened. I can only speak to the facts. You want me to tell you the facts. I'm saying that is what happened. And so, of course, in institutions, some of these, once you are in a human institution, people have different levels of information. Somebody, and of course, it's gone viral because this is something that would have been taken down immediately, and addressed. But because it's the era of social media, something that's what happens and it goes immediately viral. So that is why it's become a huge issue. But it is not like and as I said, I can only speak to the facts as it happened.
All right, so that points to some administrative lapses, and I know you'll get that fixed. But my final bit to you.
So that's why we are, internally would do an internal to see what happened, because, and so of course some people also need to be educated as to, when, who can do what and all that. So it is part of the internal things that we will do to make sure that some of things like this do not happen again. My
final bit to you, sir, right before you take leave of us, and we're grateful for your time. But so you've spoken about the other bits. I mean, in terms of the review, the cost review, for example, whether for these products or these logistics and others, it's been a number of years. There have been no increments. Are there likely to be increments anytime soon?
Yeah, so we already even have a proposal in Parliament for some of the other, for review of fees and charges, which is being considered. In the case of this particular renal dialysis, at that time, a certain benchmark figure was used. Okay, and so you're looking at numbers, see whether that benchmark figure needs to be revised or not. So that is the kind of mathematical, that has to be done. Okay, and then of course with the other stakeholder engagements to make sure that we are coming out with a tariff that doesn't overburden the patients and also allows us to also sustain the service.
Doc, we're grateful that you took the time to join us, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, Ben, and have a good day.
I wish you same. That is Dr. Opokuware Ampoma. He is CEO of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. When we return from our next break, we'll be getting interactive with you, taking some calls, just hearing from you what your thoughts are on the discussions we've been having here this morning. Do stay, we'll be right back. Well, thank you very much for staying. This is how we conclude the conversation this morning. We told you about the Tema stretch, and we put out this question. Have you used the Tema motorway lately? Share your experience with us, and some of you have shared your comments. We'll also take your calls on that all-important matter. You can call that number at the bottom of your screen, 0302-211-691. But let's check out some of what messages you've been sending through thus far. So Christiana Enyonam Atipo says, go slow from Ashaiman overhead to the Nutri-Foods company because of a bigger pothole. Our president says the next government will fix it. She's alluding to what Mr. President told my colleague Kojo Brace. Let's wait. Why? I don't know why some people are even in a hurry to cross the motorway. The go slow is fine, like you are sightseeing. Plus, I am not feeling well. So this person is being sarcastic. Sightseeing, you have to slow down no matter what. Nadesa Ajay says, we've had to memorize the various spots of these potholes. I had to do that in recent times because I've used it often. We've had to memorize the various spots of these potholes just to keep safe. Then you add prayers to finish the journey in one piece. In Paibo Kakra, caution and so Kakra. I feel Kakra. All right. There's also this one. Let's see. Nana Kwame Edusei says, yes, towards Tema is relatively okay. Towards Accra, yeah, that one. For the vanishing. Let's get to some others, and there's a response there. Let's see how many more messages we can take. Okay, so this one, Nana says, yes, these are some of the things we should be doing. Good work, hold people who are being paid for with taxpayers' money accountable, not to meddle with the dirty politics in Ghana. I believe we have a call on the line. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning. Your name, where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Hama. I'm calling from Printers of 18 Junction.
18 Junction. Did you say Manaf? Hama. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts for us?
Yeah, my thought is that I see we try to play politics with everything. This motorway road started long way back. It started because the situation is not just recent. It started for brothers from Kufuor's time up to this time. So I don't see the reason why they are trying to bring this current government. The thing is that we should get national development. Because we shouldn't, it's like everything is NDC. Every government comes, they have their own agenda. You see, so that's my thought. We should try to have national development, agenda or what? Yes. Other than that, we're going to face this problem.
So you're telling me, Hannah, and this started not even with Kufuor, even in the Fourth Republic, it's been a problem. Because
yes,
this was given to us by Nkrumah anyway. But I'm trying to say, which administration is in power now? Which entity will solve this problem?
Entity is in power now. But I'm saying that from Kufuor's time, we're having this problem on the motorway. From Kufuor's time up to now, from Kufuor's time, Ahmed's time up to Kufuor's time, we are having this problem on the motorway.
So how do we solve it? How do we solve it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that we have to have national development, because it's like, you know, that road is costly, and every government is afraid to touch it.
All right, Hannah, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. But like it or not, whether it's the previous administration, we would have spoken about it vis-a-vis the previous administration. There's an administration in power now. They must deal with the problems. That's the way it is. Benjamin Tay, the general pathologist, says, I don't use any other roads more than this. Very bad, especially the Tema-Accra side. Tires have been bursting every day on that side. And even worse, you know, there are certain enclaves. You don't want to stop there, even if you have an incident, because you'll get attacked. That's even worse. You know, we have a call on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning. Your name, where are you calling from?
Good morning, Daniel. Western region.
Western region, right. Where in the Western region?
From Western region.
All right, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, first of all, let me thank you and congratulate you for a wonderful work that you are doing for Mother Ghana.
Thank you, sir.
You see, some of our problems, who should we blame? We have a sitting president who always says he has done a lot, more than all the presidents in the Fourth Republic. Year of road. What has happened? During Muhammad's time, do you see that kind of photos at the motorway? If it was Muhammad's time, Muhammad would have faced it a long time ago. Look at what the caller said. He's from the past. It has only agenda. What agenda is he talking of?
All right, thank you.
He has failed totally. MPP has failed.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. But then again, we shouldn't over-politicize it. My only point is, it's not so much NDC MPP. We have an administration in power now. we have problems. Let them deal with the problems. That's basically it. Just to wrap, maybe, John Dente, you have to memorize. Okay, I think we've already taken a look at that. Those have been some of your reactions. Nana West Greenberg, how much cement will cost an individual? Will it cost an individual to do this, or none of the drivers passing there can? Okay, I don't think that is the right way to go. And you say cement. Well, it's actually concrete, yes. And we've left it to deteriorate to this point, and we keep patching it with asphalt and all kinds of other mixes. But anyway, if you're going to be using that stretch, just be careful. My name is Benjamin Akakwe, and I'm so glad that you took the time to join us right here on the AM show this morning. God willing, we'll be back with a banger and a surprise for you tomorrow morning. Just look forward to that one. It's going to be a whole new AM show. You'd be surprised, gladly. But for now, stay tuned for Joy News Desk. Up next.